Mike,
Yeah, Mike Noble, committee member.
Ted,
Ted Arenas, committee member.
Christine,
Christine Berthe, community member.
Jesse.
Jesse Greenwald, committee member. Hi, everybody.
Okay, and we are determining a somewhat technical status of Inga Chenko, who had been a public member of this committee, but was recently appointed to the board, but not officially to this committee. So our district manager and assistant district manager are trying to determine her status at this meeting.
I'll go as public member today.
But welcome anyway, Inga, until we find out under what auspices you are here. This committee hears applications for liquor licenses. I want to stress that we do not have the ability to grant or deny a liquor license. This committee merely makes a recommendation to the full community board which will then make its own recommendation to the state liquor authority. Again, anything we or the full board do is only a recommendation. If anyone is interested in the outcome of any of the things we considered tonight, you should also make your views known directly to the SLA in writing or appearing at one of their hearings. There will typically be a 500-foot hearing for many of these applications, or at the full board hearing. The way we operate tonight is we will go through the agenda item by item. We will ask the applicant to present briefly. We will then ask the committee to ask any questions. We will then turn things over to any attendees from the community who want to speak. To the community members, the only people you're seeing on the screen right now are the committee members or the applicants. When we call each applicant, if you want to speak on that applicant, we'll ask you to use the raise hand function, and Nelly Gonzalez, our assistant district manager, will move you over into the meeting at an appropriate time. But we want to do that applicant by applicant, so only raise your hand when that particular applicant is called. Secondly, we are still meeting on Zoom because the mayor's state of emergency is still in effect, which allows meetings such as this to proceed via Zoom. We think this is going to be wrapped up soon and could be back meeting in person by next month, but it's sort of a month-to-month thing. As part of meeting by Zoom, it means this meeting is being live streamed over YouTube and will also be available in perpetuity on YouTube. So I urge everyone to keep that fact in mind. In addition to the way we all hope everyone is courtesy to your friends and neighbors here, just remember whatever you say is going to be on YouTube forever. We have a very long agenda tonight with at least 3 things of significant community interest. So I urge everyone, myself, the applicants, the board members, the public, to be as succinct and non-repetitive in your comments. I think we'd all like to eat Tuesday dinner while it's still Tuesday. So let's keep that goal in mind. With that said, we'll start the agenda with 420 West 49th Street. This is a class change application, an applicant who has a beer and wine license currently, who's seeking a full liquor license. Is the applicant or their representative here?
Yes, I'm representing the applicant. The applicant is also here.
Okay.
That's Baraquel Sanchez or Ruben, for to make it easier for everybody.
Okay. Is he on the screen now, or is he still in the attendee category?
I saw him under participants.
Okay.
So,
all right.
yes, he's here. He's under panelist, says.
Yeah. Okay. Why don't you go forward? We can turn it over. You can,
Sure.
Relay things to him if there's anything he needs to address.
Great. So Mr. Sanchez has owned and operated Ponce Taqueria Corp since 2012. He's got his wine license in 2020 and has operated without any issues since then. He's been part of the community for some time, and he wants to update his license to a higher class in order to serve margaritas at his establishment. I think it would be in the community's interest to recommend that upgrade, and in order to further establish his business in that neighborhood and to continue serving the community.
Okay. We got an email from the 49th Street to 54th Street Block Alliance, who I think reached out to you. My understanding is that you and your client have agreed to meet with them at their next meeting in June, later in June. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, I'm Fred DeSico. I am a co-counsel. I'm also on the call.
Okay.
That is correct. They had requested information, and we gave them information, and we're certainly happy to meet them at a reasonable time, so they can ask any questions, present any questions they have.
Okay. They had a couple of requests that relate to the answers on your STIP form. So I just wanted to make sure we're all on the same page. On page 5, do you have that in front of you?
No, I don't, but I can pull it up. Michael, do you have it in front of you?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Okay.
So you can-
Well, there were 2 questions that ask if you'll agree to close all windows and doors when music's played inside, in any event to close them by 10 p.m. on weekdays and 11 p.m. Friday and Saturdays. You answered not applicable. I think maybe because you thought we were only talking about French doors, but we asked that any kind of windows and doors be closed except, and actually used for exiting and entering. So will you agree to both of those, keeping the doors and windows closed?
Yes, I would just preface it by also saying that we'd like, if we're able to meet with them, perhaps when we meet with them, we'll be able to come up with a different agreement. But if that is their requirement, we will agree.
Okay, well, it's not just theirs, it's one we ask all applicants to do.
I'm sorry, I
And
misunderstood.
It's basically to prevent indoor music from spilling out into the street.
Then my answer is unequivocally, yes, we will abide by those requirements.
Okay, and then similarly, both we and the Block Association ask you to close any outdoor space by 10 p.m. on weekdays and 11 p.m. on Friday and Saturday. And your answer was yes, and then you added only if required, but will operate the same hours of indoor space. I'm not quite sure what that would mean, but we ask that you agree to the 10 and 11 close. And again, this is only your outdoor space.
If that's the requirement, we will agree with it.
Again, we can't require anything. We have learned the hard way that these are sort of the best ways to balance the interests of operators like your client and nearby residents. So we strongly urge you folks to do that.
We will agree to that.
Okay, so I'll keep it as yes and get rid of the comment.
Mhm.
Is there anybody else on the committee with questions? Christine?
Yes. I'm looking at the picture you've shown for the outdoor space. The outdoor space is built, right?
Yes, it's there. They're operating currently. We're seeking to change the type of liquor
get
license we have.
I get it. So it looks like in one of the pictures, it looks like you have a platform in front of of the establishment on the sidewalk.
I don't know,
I
perhaps.
believe I believe it's a concrete step.
Yeah. I mean, do you have a consent permission for that?
I don't believe it's one that's installed by us. I believe it's been on the premises, and it services, I think, multiple buildings, not just our clients. No,
Okay.
It's not something we installed.
All right, this is a tripping hazard. I mean, and then there seems to be a tree pit there, empty tree pit.
I'm sorry?
There seems to be an empty tree pit,
Oh, okay. I see what you're referring. Yes, I see what you're referencing.
right?
If that's on the public street, we will reach out to the appropriate governmental agency to remove it. I don't know that we have the authority to do it.
No, wait. wait. We are not asking you to remove it. We want to keep it, and we don't understand why there is no tree there. And in fact, there should be a tree there. So what we would like to ask you is to plant a tree.
Is that on the public? If we are legally permitted to do that, and I don't know that we are.
You
if
are.
it's-
You have to ask for the permission, but you are. I mean, there shouldn't be an empty strip it there. And so it would be nice for the community if you would plant the tree.
I agree with you. I guess my response is that we don't own the building or the property, so we would have to get the consent of the building owner and the property owner. but-
No, you don't. No, you don't. You just need to apply for the Department of Parks to come and plant a tree there.
Oh, but I don't want to be difficult because I want to cooperate to the maximum extent possible. But we don't own this building, we don't own that, and we don't have the lease over where that tree is. So I can't see how I have the right to plant the tree, as positive a thing we all might agree that it would be. It's the landlord's property
Yes.
and they own the building, we don't.
Mr. DeChico, we have planted hundreds of trees. There is no requirement to ask for the approval of the building owner.
Except I don't know that we're permitted under our lease. I don't know who, ma'am. when
This
you
has
said
nothing to do about the lease. This is just, enter the requests in the Department of Parks, pipeline, and wait for them to install the tree. Okay?
Understood. Is that all that's required in order
Yes.
to, okay. I'm sure we can file an application for that.
That'd be great.
Okay, anyone else from the committee? Nellie, looks like a couple participants have raised their hands. Can you?
We have Inga from the committee.
Thank you, Bert. Yeah, I want to reiterate the tree planting. Thank you, Christine. It's a public space, the tree pit, and it's part of the parks. The building owner has nothing to do with it. It would be an extremely nice thing for the entire community if someone would get and make an effort to get the tree planted. Thank you.
Nellie, have you and Jesse determined Inga's status at the meeting tonight?
Can she speak?
I'm still communicating with Jesse.
Okay, thanks. In the meantime, can you move over the people who have their hands raised?
I don't see anyone with their hands raised.
Okay, I guess they put them down. Is there any, if anyone from the public part of the meeting wants to be heard on this applicant, please use the raise hand function. Now there is one.
I have a Wendy. Wendy has moved over.
Hi, Wendy, welcome.
Please unmute yourself, Wendy.
Hi, Christine. Can you hear me now?
We can
Yes.
hear you.
Wonderful. I would just wanted to chime in that I know that so far as trees go in the city, we're having a problem on 19th Street where I am, and it is a city issue. So just chiming in, it probably is not the building or the landlord, but it would be the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right. Do we have a motion?
To approve.
Second.
Please.
All in
those in
favor?
favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Present not eligible? Abstaining.
Okay. I want to welcome Bert Lazarin, the co-chair of the committee, to the meeting. And Bert, why don't you take over the logistics side, and I'll do the paperwork as usual.
We're up to, correct me if I'm wrong, item number 2, new wine, beer, and cider license application.
Thank you very much for your time and for your help for our client. We appreciate it. Thank you. Good luck, everyone.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
I assume, Frank, I'm had some technical difficulties getting on, but we gave everyone our process when the next full board
Yes.
meeting is.
Yes,
Okay,
Yeah, no, that's the one thing I didn't mention. That the full board actually meets on a summer schedule, which has one meeting at the end of July rather than an early July and an early August meeting. So anything voted on tonight by this committee will not be heard by the full board until July 26th, which means there will actually be a second BLP meeting before the full board meets. Then the full board will consider at that time everything this committee has voted on tonight, as well as at our July meeting.
okay. That brings everybody up to speed. So we have item number 2 on the agenda. This is a new wine, beer, and cider license, 654 9th Avenue, the 9th Ever Fever Holding Company, LLC. Okay, hours of operation, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., 7 days a week. Applicant here, they're lawyers.
Yeah, this is the attorney for the applicant. Unfortunately, my client didn't receive the link for the Zoom. So, but he still stand by. Yeah, if any question I'm not be able to answer, the applicant will jump in.
So do you want to make a presentation, or do you want us, is there any questions? How do you want to go about? Why don't you tell us something about what you're proposing?
Yeah, this is a Chinese style restaurant. Mainly they famous for the soup dumplings, and they under the franchise system. So so this is the first one. It's not really the first one. I should say my client have other location, and then they have another one in Brooklyn. They have a grand opening already. So this will be the second one to open. So this is for beer and wine license. So they have a not too many seats. This is like a 20 some seats, and it's they will do more about like a takeout or delivery, and then some for dining in. They don't have any outdoor tables, no rooftop, so it's a very simple business.
Okay, thank you.
Bert, I don't have any questions.
Okay, anybody on the committee have any questions, comments? Okay, and anybody from the community, Nellie? That's a raised hand.
There's no one.
Okay, thank you, Nellie. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second? Second,
Second.
okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Present not eligible? Those abstaining? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, item number 3, 469 West 57th Street. The 57 Pocket Bar Corporation. Have we got any letters about this, Frank?
Yes, we have. Is the applicant here or their representative? Mike?
Yes.
Mike, are you hearing us? So we got, I think, a half a dozen letters, or 5 letters, I guess, from people who live in the building. You know, one person who lives on the first floor directly adjacent, one who lives upstairs. You know, they're seriously concerned because I guess this has not been previously licensed. I think there was only a coffee shop there, and they said the noise even from the coffee shop was bothering people. So I was wondering if you or your client reached out to the building itself, and if not, if you would consider adjourning a month and trying to talk to them, because I think there are some, you know, real issues, you know, directly affecting the people in this building. You know, we know your client, you know, is an operator that's very supported in this district. The 4954 Block Association sent us an email of support. So I'd like, you know, to give you the opportunity to try to work things out with the residents of the building. it wouldn't delay you any, because as I said, this is only gonna come to the full board on July 23rd. So you'd be able to come back to us and at our July 11 meeting and not delay your schedule at all.
Oh, Mike, are you? Hi, I'm Susie.
Hi,
I'm the
hey there.
owner. How are you guys? That's weird. I have actually reached out to the people, especially the person directly above, and have not. He has not reached out back to me, because I'd love to walk him and people in the building through what we're going to do. Because right now, I completely understand it is not. There is no insulation at all in this. We inherited it without any insulation whatsoever. And we plan to completely insulate this property the same as we've done with our other properties,
Yes.
but even more so with this one. So I understand why but I was confused because they did not reach out back to me. And I
Okay.
really want to meet with them. And
Yeah.
the owner of the building lives in the building, and he's on board with what we're
Okay.
going to do. But the insulation of the soundproofing is the last thing that happens, because we have to put in the wiring and everything first.
Have you had a sound report?
We're going to I know why they're concerned, because there's zero insulation in this.
Okay, if you're going to have a sound report, we would
absolutely.
we would like to see the report before the full board, which is July 26th.
Well,
Okay.
I think what we're really asking is they would come back.
Yes.
That we just adjourned
July.
tonight, come back on July 11. Yeah, because we did get emails from the people in 2B and 1A. So I'm not sure why communication broke down between you and them, but they are definitely interested. And, if we go offline tomorrow, Nellie in the district office can give you or your lawyer, put you all in touch with each other.
Yeah, I mean, right now, especially the person above, it's like the ball is in their court. Like, I've reached out. I don't know how to make them reach out back to me. And I saw them
Okay.
today too when I was in there putting it, was there for air conditioning installation, and it's just. I want nothing more than
Okay.
to go over what our plan is.
As I said,
Yeah.
we've had no issues with either of your places. Further south, and you're very liked by the community. So I don't mean to cause additional trouble, but it sounds like you recognize there's still work to be done, and I think the people in the building just don't realize that. So I don't know. I don't know if what Mike wants to tell you, but I really don't think you're going to lose any ground by just agreeing to come back to us next month.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I'm just confused. I'm actually bewildered by this.
Yeah. All right.
But
do you want Nellie to deal with you or with your lawyer?
Mike, are you on here?
Yeah, he is. He's on mute. Mike?
Mike, you're on mute. Could you unmute?
Well, in any event, Nellie, can you reach out to Susie tomorrow and just sort of figure out how we're going to put people in touch with each other?
Yes, I can.
Okay. And in the meantime, Susie, you'll agree to postpone a month and not to file with the SLA in the interim, right?
Okay. Yeah, I wish Mike was on here. That's why I have
He's
a representative.
here. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know what my options are right now, because okay.
And
The
again,
landlord did, to be completely honest, the landlord did not give us any concession for build out. So we already started paying rent a month ago. So we normally get at least 2 to 3 months to build out. So I'm under the
Well,
gun.
as I said, Mike can advise you, but from our perspective,
Sure.
you weren't going to come before the full board until July 26th, whether you're here tonight or next month. So
Yeah.
you're not going to get a vote by the full board until July 26th, no matter what.
Okay.
But
it
if you
works
want
to
to,
your benefit to meet with the tenants, and we will act as the go-between. Nellie will actually facilitate that process.
Okay, that's cool, because I'm kind of at a loss for how to make that happen. So
oh
other
wait,
than
so
what I've already done.
Nellie, there's someone named M. Kelly with his hands raised as a attendee. Can you move that? It's over. I don't know what's going on.
Yes, I just did. Let's see.
Hey, Mike, can we, well, you're on mute on both your things now. That didn't seem to work. Susie, why don't we take another applicant? Maybe you can call him offline and try to figure out what's going on.
Okay, I'm actually on my phone. I know he keeps trying to call me, but I'm on this meeting on my phone, so I have to hang up on you
Okay,
guys.
well, we won't do
yeah.
anything about this application. Why don't you
Today, yeah.
talk to him and then sign back on, and we'll circle back to you after we hear the next one.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. We'll get back to you. And so we're up to now we're in the categories of another change in application. This is item number 4, 187 9th Avenue, Clinton Craft LLC. Hours of operation 5 to 2 a.m., Mondays through Thursday, and to 4 a.m. on the weekends. Is the applicant here? Their lawyer?
Like the applicant's only in the attendee list. His name's Jimmy Carbone. All
There
right,
he
he's been
is.
moved over.
Okay, Jimmy, would you like to unmute?
Hi, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Hi.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we're Clinton Craft. We've been licensed in the East Village since 2019. And I actually came before this board last February. So we've been looking to move. We really do like 9th Avenue and the West Side. Our landlord's kind of ready to do other things with our space. We had a lot of disruptions with COVID. I'm a longtime operator. In 1994, I opened an Italian restaurant in East Village called Muggsy's Chow Chow, which started my career, and I was there for 12 years. And at the same time, nearby, Mauro opened Pepe Rosso, which you guys know him as Pepe Giallo on 10th Avenue. And Graham and I, we've all known each other that long and have overlapped in our careers. But we found this great space that we really like, and we want to go back to our Italian roots, focus on pizza, pasta, a straight up menu. And Mauro from Pepe Giallo will be a partner involved in that. And I'll be the operator as well as Graham with Mauro. And we're looking at a existing space, Blossom on 9th Avenue between 21st and 22nd Street. There's no tenants in the building. We really like it. We're going to have a simple bar and then a long counter with an open kitchen that people can sit at. No more than 74 people total. There'll probably be closer to like 50 seats. But it's a great concept that we've been wanting to do for a while. I like an open kitchen. There's some dishes that I've had a lot of success with, like my toasted pasta, which people still ask me for. And with Mauro's input in the neighborhood, we just feel like it's going to be a great fit for the community. We also have a lot of industry friends. We do like the later hours because, our friends do like to eat late. And, we're committed to running it as a restaurant, which is my background and as well as Mauro's background. So we do love 9th Avenue. This is our second time looking at a place. We're still in discussions. It's depending on the community board. But we really like the space and we're ready to go forward with it, assuming we got approved. And thank you. And I know some of you, I met some of you last year. I really do like the neighborhood, and I've met Christine. We looked at a space on 9th Avenue further up. So just want to say, it's nice to see you all again.
Yeah. Welcome back to the committee. As you probably saw, we get emails of opposition from the West 400 Block Association and from 5 individuals. basically objecting to the hours, to whether the hours suggest this is a bar rather than a restaurant, and to generally the use of the building. I guess it's a two-story wooden structure, which is certainly in the historic district. I don't know if it's been individually landmarked or not, but there were some concerns about that. But rather than go through these in detail, I guess I think we should take questions from the board and then the community, and then I'll summarize anything in the emails that has not been discussed live.
Okay, I see one hand raised from the committee, well, Inga, that's a question, huh? Okay, Christine.
So I have a question about your outdoor space. You have a lot of comment and say when final rules, and then there is no drawing to show what it is. Can you explain a little bit?
At this time, there's no plans to do outdoor space. We're gonna work within the interior of the previous restaurant.
Okay, so Frank can cross that out from the application, right?
Yes, I thought it was crossed out.
Okay. Jimmy, a particular piece of concern from the community has been the roof. I don't even know if you have access to it, but do you will you agree not to use the roof or apply to use the roof in the future and for any purpose, including storage and things like that?
Oh, yeah, we have no intention of using the roof, and we can agree to that.
Okay. And how about, I guess, the prior occupant Blossom used the second floor? Were you looking at the second floor as well, or just the first floor?
Right now, our plan is to only use the first floor, and that fits our needs. So we're not planning to use the second floor for occupancy or events.
What would you be renting? The entire building or just the first floor?
I think we're renting both, but our focus right now is on the first floor. So we're still negotiating.
Okay.
Okay. Inga.
I think, may I just add that the only reason we would rent the second floor, we would just maybe use it as office or storage. I want to clarify that there's no tenant in the building. So, sometimes the situation comes that I don't know if that is an apartment, but we wouldn't have any residents in the building. That's really our intention.
Inga.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm gonna speak as a resident, neighbor, community board member, and the London Terrace Tenants Association as well has asked me to mention that they are opposed to the hours, mainly the hours, the late hours. They did not get a letter out. But that's their wish. Me personally, as a neighbor, the hours are too late. Nothing in that area is open that late. We don't have a lot of people that go out, and if they do, they don't come to Chelsea for that late, for that neighborhood. It is residential. There are businesses, but they all close by 10 and 11. On both sides of the street. It's a very small, narrow sidewalk. And that's the hours would be a big problem for that location. That's what I have, just my comment.
Yeah. The other restaurants on that block do not stay open on the weekend to 4 a.m. or
No.
2 a.m.
Even across the street. I mean, those 3 or 4 blocks, both sides.
I'm only aware of one, the Canadian.
Right, for games. That's a sports.
Games.
Yes.
The
Mhm.
sports, that sports bar.
That's the only time you hear them is when there's a game on.
Everybody else closes usually by midnight, the latest.
Mhm.
Any additional questions from committee? Or Jimmy, do you have a comment?
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to have a ruckus place or anything. I think it's more that, the food's important, and to go in knowing that we have the hours that we want is important for us to go ahead and sign the lease. But the crowd we're talking about are a lot of industry people, and there are people that dine late, including the current mayor. So, you know, having the kitchen open is very important. We're not talking about entertainment or anything else. So we do believe, you know, Blue Ribbon on, you know, in Soho was always that place that was open late and was always run well. And we have a similar clientele of industry and restaurant workers and other things that do want to dine at night. And the Chelsea is really the neighborhood that many of those people are working in. So.
Any other people from the committee have a comment, question? Don't see any raised hands. Nellie from the community? I see 3 participants raise hands.
Yes. First, we have Michelle.
Hi, Michelle, you can unmute.
After Michelle, it's Eddie.
Why don't you do Eddie first?
Can everyone hear me?
Yes. Go ahead, Eddie.
Thanks everyone for the time. Apologies, I'm not on camera. I'm a little under the weather today. I think I got this stomach bug that's going around. I'm the co-op board president for 403 West 21st Street. The applicant's proposed building, the old Blossom restaurant, you know, backs up against our east facing wall. Some of the concerns of my co-op members have already been raised, but I have a list that I just like to go through one more time, and you know, some of it will be reiteration, but some of it might be new. So the first thing is just to reconfirm, Jimmy, and also Jimmy, you know, nice to meet you virtually. Sorry we haven't spoken before. First thing is you do not plan to use the roof of the existing Blossom restaurant, right?
Yeah, no, never plan, never will.
Thank you. The second item is the second floor, which I know we've also covered already, but just to reiterate, you have no plans to use the second floor. I think my, you know, resident neighbors' concern is mainly like noise.
Yeah, no plans to use that for occupancy or operations.
Thank you very much. Another item, one of my co-op residents heard that they are not sure if this is true or not. There was a claim made that the establishment would be like self-serve beer, and I don't know if that included wine too. Is there any?
No, the early incarnation before I was involved in the Paloma Rocket was located on Ludlow Street, and that was a different model. That there was a self-service. It's dated, and it's nothing that I was part of. I mean, between myself, a longtime restaurateur, and Mauro of Pepe Giallo, I mean, it's going to be a full kitchen, a good Italian menu. So, and there'll be a waiter, server, you know, bartender. Pretty standard setup.
Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you. The last item is probably the main one, and I think it was the first one too. But you know, residents are concerned about noise and hours. So, you know, the view was expressed at our last meeting that you know, 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. are very off market for the area. I would add to the previous details that people raised that the Canuck is, you know, much closer up towards 23rd Street, which is a little bit noisier than a few blocks south, even though they are close. You know, we would ask that you, you know, strongly reconsider the hours of operation. I think that probably covers my my buildings and co-op's concerns. And, you know, other than that, I would say, you know, hopefully we can reach a good situation for everybody. You know, we'd love to see someone in that old Blossom space. It's been empty for quite a while now.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Eddie.
and just again about the noise, there's different kinds of places. People can do things later at night. There are people that eat at night, that gather, that work a little later. Doesn't mean they're pulling up in limousines or, any image you might have of a previous, era. I've been running places till 2 or 4 my whole life. If anything, people want to be discreet and quiet, and it's our operation is just a little different than most. But we're also not a sports bar. We're not going to have, the windows open. It's not going to be a noisy spot. It's not going to have cars honking out front. It's not a club. It's a restaurant. People come to eat and relax, especially after a night working in the restaurants and things.
Okay. I see, Nellie, we have Michelle and is it Missy? Michelle, did you unmute? Or Missy?
I can go. I'm Missy, but if Michelle wants to go first, that's fine. Can you hear me?
We could hear you.
Did
Michelle
you want me?
seems to have
Missy,
gone.
go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead, Missy.
Yeah, I just wanted to weigh in on that. I'm certainly sympathetic to you wanting to be open till 4 a.m. I've certainly in my younger days gone out to have dinner at 4 a.m. But I just have to say, for this neighborhood and these blocks, we have to be very protective, as it is historic district and residential. And it's such a valuable thing to have quiet and darkness at night. And even if you're not a club, I live across from Worthwhile, and just people coming out, at midnight or 1, and they all stand there and talk for another hour and, milling around. And, with these old buildings, I can hear the person next door cough. So, we're not soundproof to the point. I just, we get Boca de Baco is a disaster. I mean, they promised never to have music leave their premises, but the minute the temperature goes above 40, they throw open the door and everything's streaming out. So it's just, by the nature of being open late, you're going to get more noise, whether they're cars or streaming or whatever. Just people coming out, having a good meal and drinking. There's just going to be a lot more noise. And I have to say, appreciate our position, because it's the quiet is really, really invaluable to us. So those are my 2 cents. Thank you.
Okay. Michelle, I see you're there. You want to say
Yes.
something? Good.
I wanted to talk to Susie about the 57th Street Pocket Bar.
Okay, we're still here.
Oh,
on
if you
Ninth
want
Avenue.
to, you were going to circle back. You want
Yes,
me
we
to?
are going to circle back, because I see Susie is here, and I think her representative, Mike Kelly, is here. Okay, but we're going to circle back, but we want to
Okay.
finish this right now.
Okay, that's fine.
Anybody else in the community out there, Nellie? I see Mary Kane has a raised hand.
I moved Mary over.
Okay. Mary, please unmute and let us know what you have to say.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can now.
Yes, I'm a resident at 469 West 57th Street, and
Oh,
Sorry, Mary.
Mary, we're not there yet. We're going to
oh,
go
I'm
back.
sorry.
But we're still on 9th Avenue.
Oh, I thought you said you had circled back. I apologize.
Yes, we will circle back.
I thought you said you had.
No.
Sorry.
Future tense, will.
Okay, so we have emails from 5 additional residents, local residents that are basically making the same points, strongly objecting to the closing times, stating that virtually everything else in the vicinity closes at 10 and 11. I guess the only new issue is that someone makes the point that the air conditioning on the roof, which this applicant plans to use, was installed in violation of the landmarks regulations and is subject of a landmark citation. But that goes sort of beyond my knowledge of the situation. If there's anyone in the public session of the meeting who knows anything about the landmarks issues here, please raise your hand. That's what's been said. Nellie, Jean Blair's raised her hand, and she is someone who submitted an email on this, so why don't you move her over?
You're connected, Jean. Unmute, please.
Hi,
Yeah.
you hear me?
Yes.
We could hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I raised my hand. When we were looking into the operators of this proposed restaurant, there was mention of the place that they had on East 7th Street. And one thing we came upon was that the neighbors around that facility complained frequently about the noise. And I'm thinking, are we getting that moved into our neighborhood? That concerns me because not only the kind of building it is, wood building, thin walls, but the hours, you put those together, and the operator has operated a place where the community has objected, and we're wary.
May I step? I was there the previous.
Let's wait a second. Are you done,
Okay.
Jean?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
sorry.
going forward, we'd ask the applicant to wait until all of the community members have spoken and address them sort of together, says we don't want a lot of back and forth. It's just, we need to proceed as efficiently as we can. But that was the last community member, so go ahead, Jimmy.
Yeah, I mean, before Clinton Craft, I was in the same address, 41-43 East 7th Street. It's the basement location since 2005. And Susan Stetzer from Community Board 3, we are impeccable operators, never had noise complaints, never had an issue with noise in that time. I'm also the chair of the East Village Independent Merchants Association, which works closely with Cooper Square Committee, which is a tenants organization. So we've never had that problem. There are two other bars on the first floor of that location, which is another reason why we're moving. That are sports. One of them is a sports bar. They're not affiliated with us, but our operations in a basement and above us are other bars. We've never had a noise complaint in the time that I was there, which goes back to 2005. Just to clarify. And again, I've been a leader in that community since 2005. I was a resident of East 7th Street until recently. So I knew everyone on the block. We hosted block parties for the community. So I don't know anything about that. Just want to clarify that. I never had a problem with noise. Thank you. And we always said we were always open till 2 or 4.
Okay, thank you, Jimmy. Don't see any other raised hands. Do we hear, is there anything to summarize, Frank?
Well, we've got some additional steps, but it seems like the hours are an open issue. Not an open issue. I don't have a sense of whether there's support for this place with those hours.
My sense is that if we had a resolution with 4 a.m. on Friday and Saturday and 2 AM on Sunday, that it wouldn't pass.
Wendy,
Yeah, I mean, I'm supportive overall of the application with the exception of the hours, only because it's such a dramatic difference from, I agree like the need for late night places, I totally agree with that, but it's a dramatic change from all of the other restaurants that are around there and then for how that space has been used previously. So I think that is the crux of the question. Like instead of a 2 and 4, is a 12 and 2 possible?
okay, well, let's just see. Is there anyone on the committee who would support this with the 2 and the 4 closing? Okay, how do people feel about, what did you suggest, Wendy? 2 and midnight and 2?
That's right.
Yeah.
That would
How do
be
people-
2 on Friday and Saturday, Wendy?
That's right. Basically 2 hours earlier than what the applicants asked for.
It seems like the emails from the community were looking for, ideally 11, well, 10:30 and 11. I just want to point that out.
Christine?
Yeah, I was thinking about a little different from Wendy, 12 and 1. And as usual, people can always come back to the community once they have established their credentials, And then they would have also to do a lot of soundproofing in that place. I don't know whether we raised that issue, but it seems to me that
Well,
never been
Christine, as I understand it, it's a 2-story building with
Right.
no one upstairs. So,
But you have buildings on each side, and the
Yeah.
soundproofing is not. These are very, very, very old buildings. So I think having soundproofing, for me, soundproofing plus 12 and 1 would be maybe acceptable if it is acceptable to the neighbors.
what? Would you have them get an acoustic report and follow it, or do
Yeah.
soundproof? How would you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you would want a stipulation that we have a
The
report.
sound report, and they will follow it, because I think that
Follow the recommendations of the sound report.
right, that structure is probably very porous.
Okay, Inga?
Yeah, I know what most of the neighborhood is looking for and what most of the restaurants in that area are, which is even earlier than 12 and 2 or 12 and 1. I just think that that's going to be a problem with the neighborhood. Even 1 o'clock might pose a problem. I think definitely the 12. I think maybe 11 and 1 on Friday, Saturday with soundproofing. But during the week, it's really not that kind of a neighborhood. And I'm usually in support of 4 a.m., but this hasn't been that. And there are many, many other places if you want to go out to 4 a.m. So changing the character of the neighborhood is going to be a problem for people.
So we have 3 hours, suggested hours. We have 11. Was that, Inga, you were 11 and 1?
I would
And
probably say
Christine, you
1
would-
o'clock on Friday, Saturday, but not even on Thursday.
Okay, and Christine, you were 12 and 1?
I'll withdraw mine. I just want to follow Inge on that.
Okay.
Burr, why don't we go back to the applicant? Jimmy, as you heard, I don't think there's any support for anything later than 2. And it seems like consensus is going down to, midnight or 11 and 1 or somewhere around there. Is that at all in your ballpark, or?
It It's not only because we have an existing license. Actually, our existing license is to 4 a.m. 7 nights a week. We thought for this with more of a restaurant model, the 2 Sunday through Thursday to 2 a.m., Friday and Saturday to 4 a.m. That's what we can offer. I mean, we're still looking at places. The whole point is
Okay, all
that
right, so, all
so
right.
it's not,
So-
we can't really,
And
we
the
can't
7-day
change
4 a.m. is, you're not referring to this spot. You're referring to some other location
the location on 7th Street.
on
Yes,
7th
is
Street.
4 a.m. Yeah.
Okay, so Jimmy, we can do 2 things. We can take a vote, on your original proposal, which is recommending 2 a.m. and 4 a.m., which I think will be a recommendation of denial from this committee. It'll go to the full board. We are welcome to come and speak, but my sense is that the full board will agree to the committee on this one. Or you could just sort of withdraw and, sort of come back with a new location.
Yeah, I think what we'll have to do is withdraw and maybe or postpone till the next meeting in July. Your next.
Okay, so why don't we?
July 11th.
Why don't we? Yeah, I need to just confer with my partners and
Okay.
because there's it's not just me. That's also part of it. So.
I understand. So why don't, so you'll agree, we'll postpone you, we'll put you on the agenda for July. Nellie will check in with you to see if you want to just sort of take it off the calendar completely, or if you want to come back.
Yeah.
You've heard the issues. I think my sense of this committee is that probably, I think what's saleable is, midnight and 1, 11 and 1, something in that, but I don't think you get support for later than 1 o'clock.
I understand. I mean, my intention is to not alienate anyone. We're hospitality business. That's what we're in.
We appreciate
And
that.
you'll
So we'll see
agree, you'll agree not to file, you'll agree not to file with the SLA until you come back to us, right?
Yeah, we'll circle back and oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
We'll
Yes.
circle back with you with Nellie and we'll either be at the next meeting or we'll withdraw.
And you won't file with the SLA in the interim,
No, we won't.
correct? Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Can I just jump in? I'm sorry. I just want to say, Jimmy, thank you. The community, when you look for a new space, will take this very happily and realize that you're actually someone who wants to work with the community. So thank you on behalf of everyone. I'm already getting emails, so thank you.
I know I mean, 9th Avenue is great, and like I said, Morrow's on 10th Avenue. We really want to make this work. Everything's been different since the COVID, and we're really just trying to find the right space or we can, be successful. So thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Susie, we'd like to go back to you.
Can you hear me? Michael Kelly?
Okay, Michael, we could hear you.
You can hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. All right, so I talked with Susie and she'll talk with the neighbors and we'll come back next month.
Okay, and you won't file with the SLA in the interim?
The application was filed, but we'll hold it off with them as long as possible.
Okay.
It was filed a few days ago.
Yeah, because your form says you're going to file it after the community board hearing. What happened?
I know it was in my mail and somebody took it and sent it in.
Okay, but if we run into any issues, you'll join us in asking the SLA to hold it in abeyance, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Frank, I see we do have 4 people who have raised their hands. I assume, these community people,
Well, we know 2 of them are about this.
2 of them were from before, Michelle and
Mary Kane.
Mary Kane.
To those people, we're not going to hear this tonight. Please contact Nellie in the community board office if you'd like to meet or talk with the applicant, and Nellie will put you in touch. But we have a really crowded agenda tonight, so we really want to move on, and you'll be able to speak to us next month.
Okay. Okay, we're moving on to the fourth category on our agenda, the completely new liquor, wine, beer, and cider licenses. First item on that is item number 5, and reminding everybody, we have 13 items on our agenda. Okay,
Okay.
item number 5, 209th Avenue.
Michael
This is-
Kelly representing them.
Okay, go ahead, Mike.
Frank Faziano is here also. He's the owner. It is in
I'm
non-premise.
right. I'm right here. I just unmuted myself. How are you guys?
So this is an on-premise liquor license application for 200 Frank Corp. Doing business as Frank Restaurant located at 209th Avenue between West 22nd and West 23rd. We're taking over the premise previously occupied by the Meatball Shop, which had an on-premise liquor license from 2013 to November 2021 with a 4 a.m. closing 7 days a week. Frank is a well-known restaurateur with 3 current on-premise liquor licenses at Frank 88 2nd Avenue. He's had it there from 1998 to the present. Little Frankie's at 19 First Avenue, 2003 to the present. And Supper at 156 East 2nd Street, 2003 to the present. We're a full-service Italian restaurant. We have 25 tables with 50 seats and 2 bars with 16 seats combined. There are 19 tables with 38 seats and a 9-seat bar on the first floor. The kitchen is also located on the first floor. There are 6 tables with 12 seats and a 7-seat bar in the basement. That area takes up about 30% of the basement. The rest is used for storage and prep. Hours of operation are 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. Sunday through Thursday, 5 p.m. to 4 a.m. Friday and Saturday. There is no outdoor seating at the time, but we may have a sidewalk cafe in the future. When the new rules come out, it's not part of this application. If we decide to pursue it in the future, we'll file an alteration application with the SLA and come before you again. We have submitted 165 signatures from our immediate area. And we did not get any from our building because nobody's living in there. There is no gas, which we are, of course, going to help get turned on. And Frank will talk about his vision for his new location.
How's it going, guys? Can everyone hear me okay?
We can hear you, Frank.
First of all, I'm very excited to come to Chelsea. Okay. I view it as a gigantic residential area that can use our services. I like to, point out that I'm 25 years. I'll be celebrating 25 years on this coming June 16th at my first restaurant, Frank Restaurant. And all of my restaurants in the East Village have an incredible relationship with the community board, with the community. Many of the people who live in my buildings, who have had problems with noise and problems with complaints, have my personal cell phone number. Okay. I have been present at every single complaint we've ever had at Community Board 3. My reputation there is very solid. What I'm looking to do, I feel, and I've been listening to you guys with the previous applicants, I understand your concerns about noise and concerns about being open late. And I respect that. I'm also a homeowner in Manhattan. I live on Broadway and 4th Street, and I do not want my quality of life impeded either. And this is something that we have always been on top of. We have security. We do what we have to do. We are a full service restaurant. We don't run bar specials. We don't have any live music late at night. We do delivery, which is another thing that's very important for us. It's a big part of our business. And we serve a lot of nutritional food, lots of vegetables, okay? We like to stay open for delivery. To make that feasible for us, we need to have some presence also to be open inside the restaurant itself. We are never overrun at those hours where it becomes a problem. When something does become a problem, we deal with it right away. At our busiest unit, Little Frankie's, we have security outside, which prevents people from congregating, from talking outside the restaurant. So we have an excellent track record with being open late and an excellent reputation with those things. And we feel like there is nothing open really in that area late, and people don't have the options, especially for delivery, to be able, to get a healthy meal at, 2, 3 o'clock 4 o'clock in the morning. Many people work crazy hours in Manhattan, and you can't tell me that people in Chelsea don't.
Okay.
And
All right.
and
Thanks, Frank.
Go
I
ahead.
don't mean to cut you
All
off. From there. Trying to
Okay, no
save
problem,
time.
no problem. Let's hear
One
from the
technical-
community. Let's hear from the
yeah.
community. Yeah.
One technical question. You didn't circle any music on our form. Are you going to have background music or anything beyond
Always
that?
background. It's always background music in my restaurants.
And nothing
Usually-
beyond that?
Nothing beyond that. Nothing
Okay.
beyond that.
So we got one email from the West 400 Block Association objecting to the times, and again saying that a check of neighboring restaurants indicates closing times between 10:30 and 11 p.m. I will note that when the meatball shop appeared before us, we recommended approval of 4 a.m. closing across the board. So there is, that has been done at this location. I don't know how late meatball shop actually stayed open, but from our perspective, we were okay with 4 a.m. at that time.
Okay.
Well, that was more of a trendy place, the meatball shop. We're more of a neighborhood operation. But yes.
Okay, so we have from the committee, I see one raised hand so far. Inga?
Hello again, your neighbor. So yes, Meatball Shop was open. They were very quiet. They did have a sidewalk cafe. They didn't have a lot of delivery and actually no delivery. They didn't have bikes on the sidewalk. So that would be my first question. How do you work with delivery there?
No bikes. No bikes at all. We deal with Uber Eats. We have an exclusivity contract with Uber Eats. Uber Eats does all of our delivery for us. So there will be no bikes outside at all.
And I do appreciate that you're doing 2 a.m. during the week and 4 on Friday and Saturday. That will make everyone happy.
It doesn't make any sense 4 a.m. during the week. Doesn't make any sense.
Thank you. Not in that neighborhood. And then my last question was, if 2 doors down, the new owner of Ray's Pizza is opening an Italian restaurant.
He's decided not to open an Italian restaurant anymore because of me.
He is changing his menu to an
Smart
American.
man. I'm sorry, but smart man.
He's changed it to American, so I think you guys have worked it out. Thank you for that.
Oh, no problem.
Talking to him.
Harmony, Inga, harmony. We want harmony in the world. Harmony.
We don't need 3 spaghetti places next to each other. So thank you. Other than that, as long as you don't have bikes on the sidewalk and you're not leaving your doors open, because there are residential buildings all over there. Thank you.
Absolutely not.
Christine?
Yeah, so when you're saying you are using Uber Eats, you are using cars or scooters?
Uber Eats is all bikes. So, the bikes, show up, they grab the food and they leave. So they don't hang out.
That was not my question, but that's okay. So
we're not using scooters and cars because Uber Eats isn't using that with us. That's not the way they pick up our food. I'm not sure. I don't think I've ever seen that before. You're saying cars and bikes. No, we're not going to have cars and bikes hanging outside. We currently have 4 of our restaurants operating with only Uber Eats, and there has been 0 issues with the delivery guys. 0 issues.
Okay, but so Inga, these are bikes. And they are bike parking.
Yeah, but we're not storing bikes outside.
Hold on.
We don't have any bikes. There's no permanent bikes outside.
Hold on, Mike.
Michael, you have to let me speak, okay? I got you.
Thank you, Christine.
If you have bike delivery, you have bikes outside because they have to put the bike in order to pick something. So just from an objective standpoint, that's the description of the business. And there are bike parking there, so that's fine.
There's 3. I think there's 3 if I remember.
4 rings, in fact.
Okay.
4 rings.
Yeah.
So this is
Yeah,
good.
we have that really big, turning lane right there in front of the restaurant.
Okay.
That's a bike lane.
We know that.
There's also a bike lane. Let's continue.
We know that.
Christine, are you finished? Or you want
I just think 4 o'clock is if we just told somebody down the block that 4 o'clock is too late, it's bizarre that we would have 4 o'clock there. but that's.
Well, I'm a proven operator at 4 a.m.
Sir,
That's
sir,
what I'm-
Michael, you don't have to answer at this point. You
Well,
have-
excuse me, hold on, please.
sorry.
One at a time. Okay.
That's it.
Any
I'm
other?
sorry, whose turn is it?
Any other
on your
committee
turn.
members have anything to say? Comments, questions? Okay, I see, is there anybody from the community, Nellie?
Yes, we have Phyllis.
Okay. Could you move Phyllis over?
Yes.
Thanks.
While that's happening, Susie, you're welcome to stay at this meeting, but don't feel, we're done with your application for tonight, so you certainly don't feel obligated to remain with us.
Oh, thanks. I find it fascinating. I'm learning so much still, even after being 10 years.
That's how you get lured into the community board.
I love
Life
it.
is
I know
fascinating. Life itself is fascinating.
I'm on like 4 block association meetings. I find them all fascinating. No, carry on. I hope it's okay if I stay.
Sure, no problem.
It's like being a courtroom watcher, folks, right?
There's Phyllis. Phyllis,
Yeah, there's Phyllis.
you're welcome, Phyllis, and unmute.
Can you hear me now?
We could hear you, Phyllis.
Yes. I'm a little concerned about the 4 a.m. Closing time. And I'll tell you why. When the meatball shop was there, and they had operations in the basement of that building abuts the bedroom of people who live on West 22nd Street on the north side of the avenue. When we went to the meatball shop with our concerns, they were willing to sit down with us and they made changes so that people could sleep. I just want to be assured that Frank, if there are problems with noise because of the operations being in the basement, that he will meet with the community and resolve those issues. Thank you.
Can I respond to that?
Phyllis, don't you live on that block?
I do. In fact, I live above the Chelsea Square restaurant, and believe me, I'm hearing all the noise from the Canuck every time there's a playoff game. But thankfully, it only lasts a couple of minutes, and then they're quiet again.
Okay.
But yes, I'm like 3 doors away, and I'm perfectly happy with having the restaurant there. I'm just a little concerned about the 4 a.m. closing.
Okay, thank you.
Can I respond to that, guys?
Wait a second. Nellie, it
We
looks
still
like,
have some more people from the community.
Okay.
it looks like Miguel has raised his hand.
Miguel, welcome.
Thank you, Bert.
Here's my,
You know,
yeah.
Thanks, Bert. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to echo what Christine and Phyllis are saying. If you guys are telling one applicant they shouldn't be open till 4 o'clock in the morning, and it's literally 1 block away, why should we accept this applicant to have that opportunity?
Okay, thank you. I guess I'm not saying this should be determinative, but one difference I'd point out is that this location had previously been licensed for 4 a.m. across the board. So from one perspective, we are not adding another 4 a.m. license, which we would have been doing at the other place. We're just carrying one over. And as this applicant has pointed out, he's quite experienced with late night hours. Again, I'm not saying that should be determinative. I'm just pointing it out as a potential differentiating factor.
Yes.
But the other site never had a license before and wasn't open that late, wasn't open late.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Miguel. Anybody else? Nellie? I see on
Wendy.
the committee, Wendy?
I would just want to echo that distinction that this has been licensed to 4, and that I think if it's been a major issue, I think we would have heard from the neighbors quite a bit. And it sounds like when there were some issues, those were able to be resolved. I think to have another establishment go into the space for 4 a.m. and the fact that it is a truly a restaurant and not a bar, and it is a proven operator, is really the best case scenario here. So for what it's worth, I'm in favor of these times.
Okay.
And they're reduced.
Anybody else from the committee or from the community, Nellie? I don't.
I just one more thing, and I want to say that they're reducing the hours to 2 a.m. for the rest of the week. So it's actually a benefit to the neighborhood, rather than a 4 o'clock straight across the board. So thank you.
We have one more person from the community. We have
Okay.
Susan.
Susan?
Hi, sorry, I was on mute. I'll be
Yep.
short. I just wanted to second what Phyllis and Miguel had said about the hours. And I am just curious, what restaurant is open until 4 a.m.? To the other point about, it's not a bar. Most restaurants are closing at 11 or midnight.
Yeah, the previous restaurant here had been 4 a.m., 7 days a week.
No, I understand that, and
Yeah.
I've been listening, but we have a situation on 9th Avenue, so, it's going up and down the block. All right, I just wanted to second what they said. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Susan. Okay. Christine?
Well, is it possible, opening that we start with 2 a.m. across the board and go from there? I think the community would be more comfortable, and they can resolve any problem they have. And then, as usual, this applicant can come back and extend the hours. That would be my preference.
Can I respond at this point, guys?
Yes, go right ahead.
Okay. So the first thing I want to say was, which I wanted to say in my beginning monologue, which ran a little long, was that I view this as an experiment at this point. Okay. I am hoping that we will have the business and it will make sense to stay open. Okay. Obviously, if it, as somebody who lives and enjoys my quiet, okay, I would not want to be upsetting the exact neighborhood that I am looking for patronage in, okay, if we had problems. If anything came up and it became to be a problem, I would cut it back to 2 a.m., no problem. Also, the meatball shop, and I can tell you as witness, because I gutted the entire place, had absolutely no soundproofing whatsoever, okay? I've spent over $100,000 in soundproofing to protect the people above us because we've been there before. And we've ripped ceilings out and put them back in with soundproofing to make people happy. We've even ripped out the floors of apartments above us and put soundproofing in their floor as well, at all my expense, obviously. So we are completely active. And I really want you guys to look at it as an experiment, okay? What if we can operate till 4 a.m. on Friday and Saturday night and service the neighborhood and create value and present value and make people happy? That is the goal. As a business owner, everyone needs to win in this scenario, or it doesn't make any sense to me. And we've already spent a lot of money to make sure that we're making less noise. For instance, the windows in the front of the meatball shop are not insulated windows. which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever to me. And that makes a huge difference with the noise emanating from the restaurant onto the street. Okay. So we're very experienced at this. I do not want to upset I'm going to be the one that's going to be dealing with all these complaints personally. I do not want to have to do that unless it makes absolute sense. As I said, we don't want 4 a.m. during the week. When we took over the space, we expected at least 4 a.m. on Friday and Saturday because it existed there before. I'm asking the community to bear with us and let's see how it goes. And I would dial it back, no problem, if it became a nuisance. I do not want to be a nuisance in the neighborhood I'm trying to belong to. And I would also, point out, look what I have done in the East Village. We've become an integral part of the East Village. We've raised property values in the East Village. We've encouraged people to stay in the East Village because of what we've done there. Because we have 3 very famous, legendary restaurants at this point, all over 20 years old, with an incredible track record. And we have to go in front of the SLA committee constantly for renewals, constantly for these types of things. And we have been able to manage it and keep the community happy and ask anyone on Community Board 3, any of the people on Community Board 3 about my response to this.
Okay, thanks, Frank.
Always a pleasure, guys.
All right, does someone want to make a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
And this would be on the 2 a.m. Sunday to Thursday, 4 a.m. Friday, Saturday is requested by the applicant.
Yes, Friday and Saturday, 4 a.m., which is still a reduction and a win for the neighborhood, I think.
I agree.
And I'm your neighbor. I will be there.
I am
you are
Right, no
will
more
be there.
discussion. No discussion, we have a motion.
I answer all of my direct messages on Instagram, everybody who messages.
All right.
So
Frank,
you can
Frank.
always reach me.
Frank, stop. All right, we have a motion and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Persons not eligible or abstaining? Okay. Good luck.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. I look forward to a long relationship with you guys. Thanks.
You're muted, Bert.
Thank you, Inga. There was a fire engine out there or one of those EMS, you know the neighborhood. 373 West 46th Street, Palermo, Inc. Is the applicant here, their consultant, their lawyer?
Yes, I'm here. Virgo Lee. I'm the liquor license consultant for the applicant. I believe the owner is also with us. He registered. Orhan, are you there?
Yes, I am here. Yes, I am here.
Okay. All right, so I'll give a little background on the application. The address is 373 West 46th Street. Previously, it was licensed, on-premises license for a bar tab, and the DBA was called Hourglass Bar and Tavern, operated to 2 a.m. My client, Orhan Secure, purchased it in March and has rebranded the space to be called Palermo Argentinian Bistro. It's a very small, intimate space with 4 floors. The first 2 floors are dining. The bar, a small bar, is on the 2nd floor. 3rd floor is a private party room. 4th floor is storage. His operating hours are 12 noon to 11 p.m., 6 days a week from Tuesday through Sunday. And he's an experienced operator, having run most recently a full-service restaurant, Mediterranean restaurant at 53 Irving Place in downtown Manhattan without any problems since 2007. And he has also run restaurants in Brooklyn also. So we're asking the community board committee to approve his application.
Okay. Just a few technical questions about your application. You have your closing time at 11 p.m. I want to make sure you understand that what we mean by closing time is the time, it's not your last reservation or your last seating. It's the time the premises are vacated of all patrons. So are you really do you really want to have all your patrons out of there by 11 p.m. or are you actually looking for a later time?
Orhan, you want to address that? Is that a practical time for you to vacate?
Yes. You want to talk? Hi.
Yes.
Yes. What's going to happen is we were thinking about close the kitchen at 11. So because
Okay, so Orhan, that's my point. What is the time you can safely say you want all your patrons out of there? It's obviously not 11 if the kitchen's closing at 11.
Yes, sir. So the thing is, I am new in this neighborhood. I'm always downtown and 11 o'clock, but I just, I'm here for last 2-3 weeks now. So I see that is like all the neighborhood restaurants, they were keeping up to like now 12 o'clock, they close. They took the customer. I was thinking about 11 o'clock, close the kitchen. If they're staying there, so I'm probably gonna be till like 12 o'clock, be honest with you. I just realized that.
Okay.
Maybe we should change the time then, Frank.
Yeah, to 12 midnight, you're okay with that?
Yes, sir.
And that means all your customers have to be gone.
Yes.
Okay. Are you gonna have any music? Background music?
Oh, no, it's very small place. We're just gonna do background music. It's like a very
All
small.
right, so just background music.
Yes.
Virgo, on page 3 of the form, and I don't want to waste time tonight, your numbers of the people per floor don't really make sense. For example, on the first floor, you say you're going to have 18 seats, but then you say the capacity is 12 people. So we need you to take a look at the numbers on page 2 and 3 and come up with something that is more consistent. And if you can just get new numbers to the community board office by the end of June, that would be great.
Okay, I'll do that. I believe that I went on the capacity, I went by the C of O, and then the actual is on the seating plan for, I will adjust it according to the C of O.
Sorry, Orhan, can you mute when you're not talking? We're getting feedback. Okay, well, you don't have the C of O on the form, so we need all of those numbers. The occupancy section of page 2 and then the form on page 3. Okay?
All right, I'll provide that to Nellie.
Okay, and then on page 5, we ask that you keep the doors and windows closed when there's amplified sound inside, and your answer was no French windows. But even if they're regular windows, we want you to keep them closed. If there's music.
Yeah, they're rigid windows, so they're not.
Okay, well then we can still say you'll just keep them closed because you can't open.
Okay, all right,
Okay.
I will make that adjustment.
We'll change that answer to yes. Okay, thank you.
Okay,
That's what I have.
Mike Noble, I saw your hand up and I don't see it again. Are you around?
Yeah, I'm here. My question was answered. It was about the C of O and all that business on page 2.
Okay. Any other committee members have anything, questions, anything to say? No, Nellie in the community?
There's no one.
Okay, do I hear a resolution?
Motion to approve.
Second.
With the amended hour till 12 o'clock.
That's
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Present not eligible, abstaining.
Okay, and that includes the other changes they agreed to just now.
Yes, the numbers per floor. I'll get that over to Nellie with the along with the C of O.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
By as soon as you can, but no later than the end of June.
Understood.
Thank you.
Item 7 is 502 West 34th Street, Lux Line. The applicant here? Lawyer? Frank, are you the lawyer? Your hand is up.
Yes, I am the lawyer. My hand is up. Hello, Bert.
Hi,
Hello, all.
welcome again.
Thank you. Josh, you on?
Yeah, I'm on. Hi, everybody. You want me to go, Frank?
Sure, you'll talk much better than I will about it. This is Russ and daughter, guys.
Yeah, so this is, I'm Josh Rustupper, the fourth generation owner of Russ and Daughters from the Lower East Side. My cousin and myself are both fourth generation owners. We are opening an appetizing counter in the new building 50 Hudson Yards on the corner of 34th and 10th. We will have approximately 25 seats inside, no service. So it's basically counter service. And then we're looking to do outdoor seating when construction is done, which won't be until next year. Our hours, what do we put, Frank, 8 to 11?
Yeah, something like that.
You have 7 a.m. to 11.
And those are
7 to
the
11.
actual close hours.
Right. But we're applying for the 7 to 11 only for events. We'll do, bar mitzvahs, maybe weddings, maybe some corporate events. Other than that, we wouldn't be open till past 6, probably. But the license is 11 for those events.
Okay, and you're okay. You're okay even with private events of all the patrons being out by 11.
Yep. What you just said, everyone's gone by 11 o'clock. I'm not interested at this point in my life in having events later than 11 o'clock. Having anyone in the space later than 11 o'clock.
Yeah, if I understand what you just said, you're not going to have any waiter service even inside, correct?
Correct.
So people would, if they're going to sit outside, they would buy food and drink inside and just bring it out and try to grab a table. Is that the way it's going to work?
Correct.
Okay. So the one thing, and I think you have agreed to this, the one thing you just need to keep an eye on is that there aren't people just sort of standing up and drinking. You'll have to make sure that everyone out in the outdoor seating is at a table with a seat. It's what you've agreed to on our form.
Josh and I discussed it. That's what we've agreed to.
Yeah. Okay. Just wanted to make sure. That's all I have, Bert.
I have just a question. I'm a little confused. You said you were going to be having special events like bar mitzvahs. And I see, unless I'm not reading it right, capacity is 45.
No. Of what capacity? It should be 74.
Okay, maybe it was a misprint or a typo on the agenda. I'm looking at as you're listed on the agenda.
No, it's actually on our application, Josh. 45 is what we had said originally because we weren't sure about the C of O. But the occupancy will be 74, I understand.
Yeah.
So we need to make that change.
Okay, so it's 74.
So its maximum number is 74?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. And is that changing? Is that changing the tables or seats inside? It's still 12 and 24 and 6 at the bar?
Yes. It 74 would not be a seated event.
Okay. All right. And Frank, do you know what the C of O is at this point?
Not issued yet.
Sorry?
It's not issued yet.
Okay. All right. But we will change the maximum number expected to 74.
Okay, thank you. Christine?
Yes, I'm not sure I understand the answer you gave to the outside. You said you are not going to have liquor outside, or they are not going to be standing, or what is it that you are saying?
Not standing, seated service only. And alcohol will be outside.
Okay, so I think we should clarify that on the questionnaire. The second thing is that we've been made recently aware of a zoning requirement that on 34th Street, there has been a widening of the, sidewalk widening, which was a zoning requirement. And on the sidewalk widening, you can use only 5 feet of that space.
I believe the space that we are in on 34th Street has a lot of sidewalk including grates. So there's got to be at least 20 feet of actual sidewalk still beyond our space. It's like a cutout, sort of.
And I'm not disagreeing with you. The reason that there is 20 feet is that there was a sidewalk widening as part of the construction of the buildings. And as part of the sidewalk widening, there is a rule about using only 5 feet of that sidewalk widening. And therefore, I think we need to look into that. You need to look into that, but I'm not sure that you can have a sidewalk cafe the way you designed it.
I mean, we would definitely go by the DOB and whatever the regulations are. We're not going to do anything against that.
This is a city planning regulation. So I'm not, knowledgeable enough to have all the details here, but I can just tell you that I don't think this is working, and you need to go back and resolve it.
Well, it's a DOT issue, right?
No, it's not. It's DCP for sidewalk widening. The building was built with more space on the sidewalk, so it leaves some space, and that space is can be used in only certain ways. Because, right. So I think I don't want to tell you what is the answer, but I'm just telling you that I don't think this works.
Okay. I mean, we'll find the answer and make sure it works for everyone.
Okay.
Well, I think
right.
we should not approve the sidewalk, the sidewalk cafe as it is. And we need, maybe the board should have a meeting with DCP and understand how it works. Because these are one of the, I think we're going to have a few of those today. And we have that issue in multiple places. So you're not the only one.
You're talking about sidewalk widening. Was there a sidewalk before this building was built?
Yeah, by sidewalk widening, we mean that the building was built not at its building line, but inside the building line. So there is more space. And in exchange for that, they got FAR improvement and they got a bonus in order to be able to exchange for that. So there is in Hudson Yard and in other places, there are a sidewalk widening which have impact on how to use the widening. The widening is, so again, I don't have all the details and I'm not the expert on that, but I know that it probably doesn't work that way. And if it works that way, then we'll tell you.
Well, can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Josh, you have professionals who do this for you. Let's get the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, what you're suggesting is that dip into those professionals, those who know exactly what the zoning is, if this is part of the zoning reg, and then widening the sidewalk and what the agreement was between the Department of City Planning and the building people who built the office building there. And you'll come back when you'll get the answer before we vote on this in July.
And I was nervous about this until Christine said she wasn't as knowledgeable, so I felt better. And then I said, let's send it over to the professionals.
You just assume that
But the
Christine knows
professionals
everything.
have designed the sidewalk seating.
Yeah, but these are not the
where
type of professional. What you need is lawyers who understand the zoning.
This is a zoning thing. I think that's what she's talking about.
It's a
But
zoning
none of
issue.
us actually know exactly what we're talking about.
But
So
you're
that's
saying the
why-
architect that designed the outdoor seating doesn't understand the zoning.
Yes. That I'm
I
sure.
disagree.
So
I
should we go back?
disagree.
Well, let's find out and confirm it one way or another.
Let's
That's
go
all.
back at him,
Okay.
Josh.
Very simple. Very simple.
And maybe you may want to hang on because another of these applications is going to come through and the lawyers are there. So you may want to hang on and listen to it.
Hey, Christine, my recollection, this is fairly recent, right?
This is a new building.
It's not.
It's not.
No, it's something which was.
We discussed it a while back, but
this,
yeah.
we discussed it because there was an issue with it, but it was created in 2005.
Oh,
So
really?
it's not recent.
Okay.
So we'll
So
get
I
an
don't want to mislead anybody and say it's right or it's wrong. I don't know enough to have a clear direction on that.
Okay, so you guys
So-
are gonna talk to your professionals, whatever profession they're in.
Hold on a second. Frank, we're doing what? We're waiting till the full board?
No,
To do this
Bert,
again?
I presume, Bert, that you were gonna take a vote pending whatever our plans were from the architect, isn't that? what you would do?
And like often we'll say, we're voting and we would like a sound report before we go to the full board.
Right,
That's what we're saying. We'd
Right.
like this, take a vote on it tonight, and we would like this issue resolved before we go to the full board with our
we have
list.
the luxury of July.
But
And
Bert,
we have the-
we need a very specific answer from a lawyer, a city
Yeah,
council
that's what
lawyer,
we're talking about.
right? We are not saying just like, hey, your architect is telling you that. We need a lawyer.
We don't need a generic answer. We want a specific answer
Right.
for this particular corner.
That clear, Josh?
Yeah. I'm just hearing about the next application. So yes, okay. I'll stay on and figure out.
Okay.
We'll figure it out. We'll come back to you with the answer for the next board.
Well, no, actually, what I think you should do is get back to us by June 30. So if there's any confusion, you can come back to BLP in July, which will still be before the full board. In other words, we'll vote tonight, but if we're not happy with the way you explain this, we're going to want you to come back in July to explain it to us
Okay.
live. Does that make sense?
Sure. That's fine.
Okay.
That makes sense.
So is
Okay.
there anybody from the community, Nellie, or additional people from the board? I don't see anybody from the board. Community, Nellie?
There's no one.
Okay,
Okay,
Well,
so
yeah.
just to summarize what we're doing,
go ahead.
we're changing the maximum capacity on pages 2 and 3 to 74 people. Frank, I think you meant to fill out page 6, not page 7 for the outdoor space, because you're not a DCA sidewalk cafe or other outdoor items.
That's correct.
So I'll just reverse those pages. And then we'll have an additional stip that says applicant will determine what outdoor seating is permitted under all applicable law, including NYC zoning resolution, and will provide detailed analysis with citations to MCB4 office by June 30. Okay?
Okay.
Frank, you okay with that?
Citations?
Yeah, like this is zoning. We don't want you to just say, oh yeah.
But
we
it
can have 20
says,
feet. We want you to point to the zoning that says you
Oh,
can
you
do
want the
this.
law? Okay, I thought you
That's what I
were
meant.
case law.
Legal citation.
Thought you were asking for case law. Okay, not a problem.
All right.
Do
So
I
with that,
hear a
we
resolution?
have a motion.
Do I hear a resolution, a motion?
yeah,
Christine?
yeah, approve.
And is there with the stipulation, is there a second? Ted? Okay, Wendy, we got 2 seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Present not eligible? And those abstaining. Okay. See you again, guys.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 6. We're going from Hudson Yards now up to Hell's Kitchen. 611th Avenue, Urban Dairy.
That's me. And my client, Nick Contes, I think is in the public. Nick, if you could use the raise your hand function at the bottom of your screen so Nellie could move you over. And
Moved over. I see him on my screen.
there he is. Wonderful. Yep, there he is. Perfect. All right. Bert, can I begin?
Go right ahead, Max.
All right. Good evening, CB4. I'm Max Bookman. I'm an attorney. It's nice to see all of you again. It's been a few months. Inga, congratulations, by the way, on being elevated to board member status. The next 5 applications, if you keep going in order, are all going to be mine. I just want to make a blanket for the purposes of efficiency. I just want to make a blanket comment to Frank. Frank, on all of those applications, none of them have operable windows. We incorrectly said not applicable to those 2 questions. Will all doors and windows be closed at 10 and 11 when music is playing? The answer is yes. yes, we agree to that stipulation on all of the following applications.
Okay, appreciate that. And Max, while we're on global things, people in your offices seem to fill out the forms in different ways. On this one, it came through well. On the others, when we try to print them, none of the circled answers print right. So Nellie's going to reach out to someone in your office to try to get this done consistently. But there's clearly, you must have different people doing them in different ways. So I don't want to waste a lot of time tonight, but
we do have two different PDF editing softwares, and maybe maybe we could troubleshoot that. I'm sorry for that inconvenience.
Yeah, okay, but Nellie will reach out to your office and coordinate an answer.
Sure.
Thanks.
Okay, so focusing on the application at hand, I just want to introduce Nick Contes. He and his partner Harris Meyer Slinger are co-owners and co-founders of Creamline. Nick is the operating partner and manager who's running the business on a day-to-day basis. Creamline has been in business at Chelsea Market since 2015 through the present. They're still there. This is going to be their second location. They serve American classics, burgers, fries, shakes. They have a specific commitment to local farms. That's a major aspect of their mission and their ethos. They ethically source ingredients from local New York farms, Hudson Valley, the Catskills. It's a major part of what they do. So the space at issue is the full service restaurant space within Gotham West Market. Many of you know the market. There's a food hall component to it, but there is a connected restaurant space. It was last occupied by Corner Bistro. And before that, it was Genuine Roadside. So we're talking about the corner of 44th and 10th. Nick and his team have been operating at Creamline at this location for the past month. So they've been operating without a liquor license for the past month. It's going to be a full service restaurant, 85 maximum occupancy indoors. Indoor hours of 10 to 2, 7 days a week, background music only, no DJ, no dancing, no live music, no promoters. There was a last minute change that we dealt with the board office on. I just want to make sure everybody's up to speed on it. Historically, there's been a 32 seat within property line sidewalk cafe. If anyone knows that building, there's sort of a cutout at the corner, and within the property line, there's a sidewalk cafe. That was part of Corner Bistro's liquor license. Nick and his team were being told by their landlord that sidewalk cafe was not going to be part of their lease. But we flagged that as strange, and this morning they renegotiated with their landlord to add that space to their lease. So we, at the last minute, updated with your board office our submission to show the same outdoor space as part of the liquor license that was part of Corner Bistro's liquor license, and the same steps that Corner Bistro had for the outdoor space, which was your usual steps: 10 p.m. closing on weeknights, 11 p.m. weekends, no music, etc. So with that, I'll pause, and we're happy to answer questions.
Okay. Max, the one thing that I think you've agreed with us in the past on that outdoor seating is that the outdoor seating be within the property line and won't extend beyond the edges of the building.
That's correct.
There has been creep over the years that the outdoor, I don't know exactly where the property line is, but what we want is for it to remain, within the corner of the building and not go beyond how far the building comes out to the sidewalk.
That's right. I'm aware of the creep, and there's no excuse for it. And I've mentioned it to Nick, and he's aware. And so, so he knows where the property line is as of this morning, and we'll stipulate expressly with you and make sure in operation that
right. And I guess all I'm saying is I'm not sure the building is built to the property line. So if the building is built to less than the property line, we don't want you to go out further than the building goes, if that makes any sense.
I think it does. And I think a fair stipulation is that the outdoor seating will not exceed past the I don't know how to word it, the imaginary line that is extended out from the building line itself, not the property line. So,
right. Yeah. All right. Why don't you send me some language you can live with, Max, but we're on the same page.
Sure. Let me just make a note of that.
Okay.
That's all.
That's all, Frank? Okay. Yeah. Christine.
Yeah, I have a suggestion on that in the next, probably the next regulation are going to require to mark the boundaries. And maybe that would be a good idea, is to just mark the boundary, especially for your staff. So the creep happens because the staff has no idea where it is. So if you mark it by little, white paint or whatever, then it makes it better for everybody.
It's not a bad idea, but it is a novel idea, and I don't know if our landlord's going to let us do that. But if our landlord does do you have any problem proposing that to our landlord? And if they do let us do it, obviously we could do it.
You can put a tape, you don't have to paint. You can put like a removable tape.
Okay, so Nick, what's being proposed is to make clear what this boundary is, so that there's no tape, or so that there's no creep, instead of just the stanchions, which the liquor authority requires, which can be moved by staff or pushed, that we also put tape down, paint if possible, to make clear what the boundary is, assuming that our landlord approves that. Do you have any issue with that? You could just.
None at all. Happy to do that.
Because Max, it is spelled out in the proposed law, which has not been passed yet, obviously, but it is part of that proposal.
Understood. It's just that's for that proposal, that's city property. So the city, but if they pass that, they allow it. This is private property. So I just want to be careful about committing to something before the landlord.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. Good point. Okay.
Thank you. Any other committee members? Okay, anybody from the community, Nellie?
No, there's no one.
Okay. Do I hear a motion?
Approve. Yeah. Motion.
Second?
Second. I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Present not eligible? Abstaining? Okay,
Good luck, Nick. It'd be great to find something in that corner that can stay in business. So I hope it's you.
Thank you very much. We're super excited to be here. Thanks for having me, guys.
okay. Item number 9, 501 West 34th Street, 501 and 509.
So that
Okay.
should be Amir Sperling, who should be joining me now. And there he is. So as he logs in there and gets his camera on, I will get started. So this is Amir Sperling. He's the managing director of Tishman Spire. The building we are talking about today is the Spiral. It's the Tishman Spire Tower that opened in fall of 2022. This is the second of a total of 4 Tishman liquor license applications that your committee and community board is going to review for this building. You previously reviewed and recommended approval of the first, which was the 66th floor lounge amenity space, for the building. And this is the second. So this is going to be for the restaurant, the building's restaurant on the 34th Street and 10th Avenue corner of the building. It's going to be operated by the Llamas Restaurant Group. It's the acclaimed restaurant group that operates Llama Inn and Llama San, both highly regarded Peruvian, Japanese cuisine. That's going to be the cuisine here as well. And they are already operating on the 66th floor. So in liquor authority language, the licensee is going to be Tishman Spire, and the co-licensee management company is going to be the Llamas Group. Closing is going to be 12 o'clock on weeknights, 1 a.m. on weekends, background music only. During normal function operations, we are asking for live music and DJ for private functions only. We do anticipate that this restaurant is going to be in demand for things like corporate events, perhaps small weddings or similar occasions. So they do want the ability to have live music and DJ for those private functions. You can see from the menu, it's going to be very interesting, high-end but accessible Peruvian, Japanese cuisine, similar to their other restaurants. So we do think there'll be a demand. There's outdoor space. There's a within the private property line sidewalk cafe that we're proposing along 34th Street, nothing on 10th Avenue. That's shown on the floor plans we submitted. 10 o'clock, your usual steps for the outdoor space. So 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock closing on weeknights and weekends, seated service only, no music outside. And I'll stop there and happy to answer questions.
Yeah. So Christine, based on their floor plans, it looks like what they are proposing is only using 5 feet of the sidewalk on 34th Street. So I assume even in the most conservative, I know we're not sure about this, but it seems our most conservative reading is that they will have 5 feet, right? So this would be
Right.
okay.
All my knowledge was derived from Amir, who explained everything to me, and I couldn't repeat it because it's so complicated.
Okay.
So I wanted to hear it, everybody to hear it from Amir, and then maybe you can point us to the text, and then we can use it for other people. But that's exactly where we are.
So Amir, you're up.
Amir, you are the expert.
I hope I live up to this. I'm here performing my best David Karnofsky. He'd be proud. The provision that we're relying on, and we ran it by Land Use Council, so I'm not the expert. I'm merely playing one on TV tonight. Is a provision. It's 93-66A in the zoning resolution, and it applies to a circumstance like ours, where, as earlier discussed, when we constructed the building, we were required to set back from the property line along 34th Street by 10 feet. And in that instance, the zoning resolution says that in that 10-foot wide setback, the 5 feet, the 5-foot portion that's furthest back from the street is the 5-foot zone in which seating, so tables and chairs, are permitted. And that's really what defines the 5 feet. So we set back 10 feet. The first 5 feet is us for seating. The next 5 feet is open. And then just for context, the sidewalk extends even beyond that, past the property line, all the way to the sidewalk. So there's a lot of sidewalk space beyond the 5-foot zone we'd be occupying. And I hope that's clear.
So Amir, as I understand this, so even though there's this huge sidewalk beyond your 10-foot setback, a property owner has no rights to any of the prior existing sidewalk, and you just divide up the 10-foot setback and you only get 5 feet of that.
That's exactly right.
So if you built under 93-66A, you only have the 5 feet nearest your building.
That's correct. And in that 5-foot zone, what we've planned is that 5 feet houses not only the tables and chairs, but also the service aisle. And so that's all contained in that footprint.
Okay. So I think the prior applicant is still on. So if you look at that zoning resolution and see if that's the way your building was built, and let us know.
Well, it is, because Frank, I've looked at the Hudson Yards, and it shows you everywhere where there was a building, what they call a sidewalk enlargement, which is really a recess from the building.
Yeah.
And on both sides of 34th Street, these are areas where you had I have the maps for that. So I know where those are.
Okay. All right. Well, we don't need to go back to the prior applicant, but you've heard this. This is what we'd like, you to get us a report on by the end of the month. Max or Amir, the only thing I had about the outdoor space is that you said you're going to use them, or you will use umbrellas. Will you agree that the umbrellas will also not extend beyond the 5-foot area?
You can't do that.
I think we have to.
Yeah.
No.
All right. But just to be clear, because that did not always happen with sidewalk cafes. So just say the umbrellas will not extend beyond the confines of the outdoor seating perimeter.
Frank, rather than that, maybe we can agree that they will use awnings, because without, if it's not awnings, it would be umbrellas. The umbrellas by definition are going to over bridge. I mean, the size of the umbrella, right?
Not necessarily. I'll let Amir address the awning point. I don't think that's necessarily a possibility with this building, but on the umbrellas, I mean, not all umbrellas are circular, and they do have these fancy umbrellas that are basically
square,
or even like a semicircle with so I think that's the step we can do, unless Amir, you have a contrary point.
I don't. I would say whether it's awnings or whatever shape the umbrella is, we understand that we won't be extending past that zone.
Okay. I see nobody else's hand raised. And nobody from the community, Nellie? So
No,
do
there's
I?
no one.
Thank you, Nellie. Do I hear a?
Okay, so,
motion? Thanks.
yeah, so Max, we'll just add a stip that says no part of any outdoor umbrellas will extend further than 5 feet from building facade. Right?
That's it, yes.
Okay.
Agreed. Okay, does anyone want to make a resolution incorporating that stip? Christine?
Resolution. Yes.
Anybody want to second that resolution?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Present not eligible? And those abstaining. Okay. Very
Thank you
good.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your knowledge, Amir.
You bet.
Zoning. Okay, we go now to 50 Hudson Yards. We have 1, 2, 3. We want to put these all together, Frank?
I think we can, and I assume Max will explain why they're 3. I expect it's because the licensed premises aren't connected, so they each need a separate license.
Different floors, different locations.
Yeah, and not
Go ahead,
without,
Max.
yeah, without stairs between the first floor
I
and the
mean,
mezzanine.
you guys could do my job for me. You already know all the answers, and that is the answer. So let me just make sure my client is promoted. Nuri Bessemer, pardon me. There he is. Good. Okay, so now I could begin. So yes, what I do think makes sense is I'll just make a global comment about all 3 licenses and how they work in the building, and then you know, I do have specific things to say about each one. Perhaps I'll do one at a time or whatever, you know, whatever works. So let me just get started then, and you'll interrupt me at the appropriate time. So this is Nuri Bessemer. He's the director of hospitality for Related. And now we are going back across the street to the Russ and Daughters building. This is 50 Hudson Yards. It's one of the last remaining pieces of the current Hudson Yards development. It's a significant office building, opened in October of 2022. Related, my client will have 3 liquor licenses within the building. One is a restaurant, which is on 34th and Hudson Boulevard East, and that's number 9 on your agenda. A lobby, cafe, and bar on the 2nd floor of the lobby, 2-story lobby, and that's number 10 on your agenda. And then a amenity space that is mostly but not exclusively for tenants of the building, and that's in the 32nd floor sky lobby. This building has, like many tall buildings, has a sky lobby in the building, and that's the 3rd liquor license. That's number 11 on your agenda. So I'm going to address the restaurant first, because that was the first in order on your agenda, and I think it makes the most sense because at the bottom of the building. So as I said, corner of 34th and Hudson Boulevard East. It's going to be a high-end Italian restaurant. The menu is included in the papers. Recorded music only, period. Sit-down meal service only. It's 218 indoors across 2 floors. So even though we're calling this a ground floor restaurant, you know, most of it's on the ground floor, but there is a mezzanine that is directly contiguous to the ground floor restaurant. So that's part of the restaurant, and it's just more restaurant in that portion of the mezzanine. Again, sit down service, etc. 12 a.m. closing, 7 days a week. And so let's get to the outdoor space. So yes, there is a within the property line sidewalk cafe. It's on the floor plans. It's going to wrap around. It's going to be on portions of Hudson Boulevard East as well as West 34th Street. 22 seats on Hudson Boulevard East, 54 seats on West 34th Street. That's going to comply with your usual stipulations, 10 and 11 closing, no music, etc. Look, I was listening carefully to the Russ and Daughters presentation, which was the first I had an opportunity to hear any of this. And obviously I was there for the Tishman Smyer presentation just a moment ago, but I've sort of waited until now for this application to say this, which is, Related has their own land use council, very experienced, highly regarded, New York City land use council. The advice that Related's land use council has given us, and again, I'm not a land use attorney, and and Christine, you've already acknowledged, that we're all sort of limited here. Their land use council has advised us that the zoning restrictions that you heard about, Christine, for across the street for Tishman Spire are not the same restrictions on this side of the street. I know you may have a contrary view of that. I'm not in the position to personally advocate one way or the other what the right view is, but that is what we have been advised by our land use council. Our Related's land use council has advised me and Related that what we've shown you on the floor plans within the sidewalk, within property line sidewalk cafe is permissible. I think maybe to make things efficient, I heard what your recommendation was for the Russ and Daughters application, which is you need a detailed analysis, zoning analysis with appropriate citations, et cetera, before your full board meeting. I think that's something that we can also, we can agree to the same thing, which is, we could supply you with that understanding. And if there is a need for further discussion on it, I think in Frank's words, if you're unhappy with that analysis, we can come back. But that's where things stand for us right now in the sidewalk cafe.
And Max, just to clarify, we asked for that by June 30, so that you would be able to come back to the BLP meeting on July 11th.
That's acceptable.
Some difference of opinion. Okay, thank you. And we'll just repeat that same stip you heard me work out with the Russ and Daughters people. Correct? You're okay with the wording?
Yes, I heard that stip, and that's acceptable to us.
Okay.
So with that, we're happy to answer questions.
Yeah, so I have a couple questions about I guess this is the first and second floor restaurant on page 5 of the form. I just want to make sure we're using the same terminology. You answered yes to the question that you're going to use a canopy. Now, a canopy for us means the thing with, like, that some apartment buildings use outside their entrance with poles extending over the sidewalk, but not an awning that simply comes out from the building with no poles. So do you think it doesn't matter what, I'm not saying one is good, one is bad, but do you think you're actually going to have a canopy, or were you talking about the awnings?
More of the former than the latter, Frank. The goal is to build a trellis, which I think is synonymous, or roughly synonymous with canopy. It would have sort of independent supports.
Okay. All right. You don't have to belabor it. Your answer is right. And then you're going to have an illuminated sign as well. Can you tell us anything about that?
I'm not sure I can, other than that it's illuminated. Nori, anything you could add on the sign?
Yeah, we're far away from having any detail on that, but I think we would like to have that. We just don't really know what it's going to look like quite yet. We're
okay, Max, a suggestion here, can we add to what you're going to get us, the zoning that governs illuminated signs here? Because I know in the regular zoning code, there are different restrictions for size and everything of illuminated signs in every use group. So I'm sure illuminated signs for Hudson Yards are covered somewhere. So if you could let us know what those, as part of the same report you're going to give us, if you could let us know what those regulations are and that you'll agree to comply with them, that would be great.
Yes, Frank, agreed. Bert, I see you're muted. I'm not sure if you were speaking.
Frank, are you done?
I am done.
Okay, Christine.
So yes, at a minimum, what would be really helpful is to have the dimensions, of the sidewalk cafe and the distances to all the obstruction, like we usually do that, right? And so we can see where it lands, because I'm a little, that is very important. On the Hudson Boulevard East, you are showing 2 property lines, which I'm confused about.
Yeah, so I could address all those comments, Christine. First of all, we're happy to supply a diagram that shows all of the dimensions. There were many versions of this plan, and unfortunately, the version that we ended up with didn't have the dimensions. So just with that preface, you'll get it. But I can say, just from my notes, that just roughly speaking, on the Hudson Boulevard side, and then I'm going to address the two property lines question. But on the Hudson Boulevard side, there's going to be 12 feet and 8 inches of clear path. And that's measured from the outermost property line that you see there to the bollards. You may see 3 rectangles there as well. Those are not tree pits. Those are vaults underneath the sidewalk. So it'll be a full unobstructed 12 feet, 8 inches of clear path. And then bending the corner on the West 34th Street side, it'll be 17 feet, 10 inches of clear path. Same thing. Those little things in the sidewalk there are just vaults. So it's clear and unobstructed. On the property line side, and this goes to the zoning analysis and why we're being advised that it's different than across the street. There are multiple intersecting parcels of property that that remain in sort of arcane ways that are not necessarily intuitive. And so the innermost portion that's sort of the L shape is one parcel of private property that belongs to related. The outer piece, which they call the sliver lot, because it's a sliver, is a different parcel of private property that also belongs to ultimately related. So that's why it's on that way in the floor plans.
Got it. And the space on 34th Street generally is how much?
I'm sorry. What I have is the clear path, which is 17 feet, 10 inches. Is that what you're asking?
On 34th Street?
Yeah, the clear path on 34th Street is 17 feet, 10 inches.
Okay. Yeah, that would be helpful to have the dimension and to really be looking at something specific.
Okay. We could add that to the list of things to supply.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Any other committee members? Okay, and Nellie?
There's no one.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So Max, just to be clear, by June 30th, you'll get us a floor plan of the outdoor seating showing all the measurements and obstructions and all of that. And then by the same date, you'll get us the report on the zoning that covers the outdoor space and with citations and why it's permitted, as well as reporting on the illuminated sign provisions and an agreement that yours will comply with what those are. Okay.
That's correct and agreed.
Okay. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
And do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Present not eligible? And those abstaining, okay?
And just so
Continue.
we're clear, that vote was on items 10, 11, and 12.
No.
It wasn't clear.
No.
That's not the way I
you didn't want it
understood
to
it.
be?
I mean, I'm happy for it to be, but I didn't even tell
Oh,
you
okay,
about
I thought
the
it
other
was.
two.
I'm sorry, I thought you reported them all. Sorry, I
Max
take that
didn't
back.
seem to be speaking about 11 and
Okay,
12 yet.
I'm sorry, I jumped ahead. Just trying to save time, folks.
Trying to get out of here.
I mean, I'm honest to a fault. I'm sorry.
Okay, I know, I didn't want to cut you off, so please tell us about the other two. So that vote was.
Okay, and I think these two are the easy ones, so I'll try to be brief because I am aware of your time and how much of it I've occupied already. So now we're moving to item 10 on your agenda, which is the lobby, bar, and cafe. So this building, Class A, world-class office building with a striking lobby. The lobby has extremely high ceilings. The ceilings are 2 stories high. A lot of artwork, a lot of interesting things in the lobby. One feature of the lobby is a beautiful staircase, a very prominent staircase that comes out and it swoops and it curves, and members of the public and people who work in the building can walk up that staircase to the back of the lobby, which is like a second floor mezzanine. Basically, it's the same mezzanine that the restaurant is on, just a different part of the building. And in that mezzanine, there's a little corner. It's shown on our floor plans. We have a good picture of it, where there's a lobby bar. And, during the day, that lobby bar is going to serve coffee and tea and pastries and sandwiches. There's some banquet seating as well. So it's not just the bar, but people can sit down on their laptop and have a bite to eat while they wait for a meeting or while they debrief or whatever. And as the day goes on, they'd like to start serving alcoholic beverages there as well. The bar is 9 seats. When you include all the other seats, the banquet seating and everything, you're at 46 seats outside of the bar. Background music only, no DJ, no dancing, no outdoor space. Regular operations will cease at 10 p.m. We've put 12, and we made a note to that effect on our STIP form. But we've also noted that we would like the actual, permitted closing hours to be midnight, just so we could have the opportunity to do private event on occasion. We don't think there's going to be significant private event business at this little bar, but we do think that there might be something like a small cocktail reception that one of the tenants may want to book from time to time. So we'd like to have the ability to go to midnight for private functions only.
Ellie, you have your hand raised?
Yes, I'm sorry. I need a clarification. Which item was just voted on?
That was item 10.
No.
Yes.
No?
That's not what Max just said.
Maybe I have the numbers wrong.
That was
Yes,
a
please.
Oh, it was item
Oh, it's
number
my fault.
9?
No, it's my fault. I got the numbers wrong. The restaurant was number 10. Now
Okay.
we're on number 11.
Yeah,
Okay.
we voted on number 10 and now we're
Yeah.
at 11 and we have
Yep.
12. Okay, that's what I thought.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify. So we voted on 10 and now we're discussing 11.
Yes,
Okay,
that's the
thank you.
clarification.
Sorry,
Thank you.
continue.
I'm sorry, that was my fault.
We're okay.
All right, so I'm happy to answer questions.
Doesn't seem to be
Bert,
any.
I have nothing more on these two.
Christine.
No, I'm ready to do a motion.
Oh, okay. Do you have a motion?
Yeah.
Okay, is there a second?
Nellie, anyone from the community on item 10, item 11?
There's
Can we
no one
bu-
with their raised hand.
All right.
Can we just
Okay.
bundle 11
Second.
and 12? Oh, all right, or just a second.
Okay, all those we had a second? Did I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Person not eligible? And those abstaining. Okay, Max, now we have your last one. Be
All
clear.
right. I'll
12.
try to bring this one home quickly. So now we're on the 32nd floor of the building. It's the Sky Lobby, similar to, if you remember, the presentation we did for Tishman a few months ago. It's a similar concept. This is going to be geared as a tenant amenity. That's the focus. We have to make it open to the public because of the way the liquor law is written. But this is going to be a primarily tenant amenity. There's a full kitchen up there. There's enough food on the menu to qualify as a restaurant under the liquor law. Regular operations will cease at 10. We want to have the ability to go to midnight for the same reasons I just described. No outdoor space, background music only.
Okay. Questions, comments? And from the community, Nellie, nobody?
No one.
Motion.
Nellie, do everybody in the community? Don't see any hands raised. Okay,
No.
okay. Do I hear a motion?
Yeah.
Second.
Okay, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Thank you very much.
Abstaining?
Oh, sorry.
Present not eligible. Okay, it did pass. Max.
And Frank and Bert, I don't know if your board notes this on your resolutions, but to the extent that you do, this last one that you just voted on is not subject to the 500-foot law because of its height.
Okay, well, as long as you answered on the form correctly, that's what
did.
we will send in.
Okay, very good. All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Now we have
Thank
the
you.
last item on our agenda. 134 9th Avenue, Sushi Villa.
Hey, everyone. Joseph Levy here on behalf of the applicant. I have the applicant with me here, Viviana, along with her general manager, Clement as well. And I can start start like this is a brand new application. I can give some background, whatever you guys think would make the most sense. You've heard this application before. You want me just to give you a little history? And
yeah, I think a little history would be good, Joe, because it was
a long time ago.
Yeah.
Sure.
Refresh
This
everybody's
board,
memory.
say again?
I said refresh everybody's memory.
Sure thing. This application originally came before this board about 2 years ago. This particular applicant was not represented by me. There was a different attorney presenting it to you, and I think did the applicant somewhat of a disservice by not being fully forthcoming with information and not being clear about what this application was and what the vision was for this particular project. I engaged with the applicant shortly after that community board meeting, and I've been working with them to get things in order. We originally at the time tried to come back to the board to kind of redo this in a different way, but there was already a vote taken, and we were advised that there's not going to be another one in this particular location. We filed our application with the State Liquor Authority. That application sat pending for about a year. It finally got fully reviewed, and we went before the full board of the State Liquor Authority. We reviewed the history. We provided information about what this space was supposed to be, and I'll get to that in greater detail in a second. And one of the commissioners of the Liquor Authority felt that it had been so long since we came before this board, or since they became before this board, and before they voted on it, they wanted us to come back and refresh it and do it the service it deserves with the full explanation, because you never got the benefit of that, and neither did the community members who had come out at the time. So we are here now before the board again, nearly 2 years later, to present this application that's already kind of gone through the process at the State Liquor Authority. So the application before you is for an on-premise full liquor license located at 134 9th Avenue. This is the space that was previously licensed and occupied by Bathtub Gin, I believe. Has been licensed previously with a full liquor license. The space itself has a maximum capacity of 74 persons. Inside, we have 14 tables, 40 seats, one bar with 7 seats at that bar. The concept here is to be a neighborhood bar with food that is specifically very inclusive, with a focus on the trans community. Viviana is a member of the trans community and has been promoting activities within this community for many years. Not just the events that she does in other locations, but also provides information, provides resources, was the first, the builder and exhibitor of the first trans float in the Pride Parade, is very involved in this community and has become a real resource for people in this community. For many years, she's been a planner of events at another location, you know, kind of holding these events under her namesake of Susie Vila. And frankly, she's been sort of a promoter, a party planner for this time. She hasn't been able to exude control over the operations of that space. She's not an owner of that space. She doesn't love the way that space is being run. She'd like to do something different. She believes she can create a space that would be run more responsibly, a space that would be a safe space, and a space that would fit in nicely with this community. That is what she's looking to do at 134 9th Avenue. You see in your package, you've got about 200 petition signatures in support. Creating a safe space for the trans community is something that I think serves a public benefit, if anything does. And she's engaged a general manager who has 15 years restaurant experience in New York City. What I think is on a lot of people's minds is a lot of the events that Viviana has been involved with previously in terms of promoting and curating guest lists for have turned into the type of activities that she is specifically not looking to do here. To be clear, she's looking to open her own place to do something different. She has no control over the operations of that place. She's not involved in the operations of the other place, that Fairy Tales location. And frankly, she's looking to open this place to get away from that place and to do something different and something that's more on brand with what she wants to do, which again is to create a safe space for people in the trans community, a very inclusive location, a place that will be a resource for people in this community. We're here to answer any questions that you have. We understand the issues that people have with the other location, and we are happy to make any number of stipulations to make the board and the community assured that we will not be that. We have no desire to be that. And I'm talking about things from changing the DBA to something that's very specifically not Susie Villa. I'm talking about stipulations that we won't engage in methods of operation that exist at the other space. And obviously, we're going to sign a set of stipulations tonight that hopefully indicate what our method of operation or proposed method of operation will be, which is not to be a nightclub. It's not to be a strip club. It's not to be the type of place that people would not necessarily want in their community. It's going to be a private space, a space that will be run responsibly, a space that will be a safe haven for people, and a space that will be, safe and will not disrupt the community. There will be security here. You see there's actually DJs indicated in the package. You can go ahead and remove those. There's not going to be any DJs here. This is background music, small space, has been licensed previously. We do feel strongly about the later hours here, which is why they're in your package. If the hours are the issue, we're here to talk about that too. We are not looking to be a problem for the community. We're looking to work with the community. But we just wanted to be very clear about who we are, what we're doing, and specifically what we're not doing. We reached out to a number of block associations and residents based on the list we received from the board office. While we didn't have an opportunity to meet with them in person, we have had a bunch of correspondence via email back and forth, some phone calls with different members of the community as well. And we've done our best to answer everyone's questions to the best of our ability.
So Bert, I'll leave. I have a couple technical things I'll leave to the end. Just to summarize for the committee, as you've seen in the Dropbox, we had a lot of submitted written community opposition, including from the Council of Chelsea Block Associations and from 5 separate Chelsea Block Associations, and also over 100 emails in opposition from community members. I'll summarize those at the end of the public comments if there were points that have not been made. But that's all I have for now.
Okay, I see we have at least 2 committee members currently have their hand raised, Jesse and then Ted.
Hi, yes, thank you. I have a few questions directed both at the applicant and to our own committee. So starting with our own committee, Frank or Bert, I do remember this applicant. I remember it being contentious. This was when we were still in person. Can you remind me how? So we voted this applicant down. Is that correct? Is there any record?
Yes. So we voted an outright denial.
Yeah.
But at the end of our letter, as we sometimes do, say if the SALA disagrees with our recommendation of denial and were to approve it, we'd want the following steps. And then we had 5 steps that were things like closing at midnight at 1, no DJ, no karaoke, no dancing, not using the name Susie Villa, and getting an acoustic report. One of the big sticking points in my mind, and this may have to do with the representation issues for the applicant 2 years ago, was that there seemed to be a reluctance. Well, there seemed to be a need to use the Susie Villa name at the new location. And at least my personal concern was that name was so linked to what everyone seems to be now acknowledging is problematic behavior at Fairy Tales on 48th Street, that if you kept the same name, you would almost automatically attract some of the same clientele expecting the same operation. So that's what I recall about that meeting, but the ultimate vote was to recommend outright denial.
Thank you for that reminder. That's actually really helpful. And so it seems like the applicant's done some of what we had asked for, not everything. Certainly to the applicant, I'll say first, I appreciate that, you have made substantial changes. The removal of the DJ is significant. I appreciate that you went out and got as many signatures as you did in support. That's helpful to see. Can you just talk more about why these late hours are so? I believe that you're pitching it, you market as a lounge. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's how I remember it, and maybe how you just described it. Just talk me through these late hours, what that means to you, what that means to your business, and then I have one more question after that. Thank you.
So, I mean, it's a lounge. Lounge normally don't close at 11 p.m. or midnight. And it's a after work more so event for people to come on the weekends and during the week to, relax and feel safe within their community of the, trans. We are inclusive. We are planning to be inclusive. But we wanted to be where the girls and the guys can come in and not feel that they can be threatened. So the late hours, we don't have to go to 4 a.m. We can shorten the hours to 2 a.m. But it's a lounge. Normally lounge are, open at least till 2.
Okay. I see you checked off that you have a security plan, but maybe I'm missing it. I'm not seeing it in the packet. Can you talk more about that? I mean, security plan is not for necessarily things getting, too rowdy or whatnot, but really, I think the concern among many of your neighbors are going to be people congregating on the sidewalk and being incredibly loud, coming and going. So, can you speak more to that?
I can speak to that. We've had this conversation. They will be hiring security that's licensed and bonded in New York State that have a lot of experience with bars and restaurants here and understand the mechanics of those places in terms of keeping the sidewalk clear, keeping things orderly, and maintaining a safe environment inside first and foremost. So we understand, obviously, look, this isn't a 250 person space, it's a 74 person space, but they do understand the value of, even 5 people outside talking and congregating on a sidewalk could be a disturbance. So they're going to absolutely, we're happy to stipulate to keep the frontage clear.
The thing is, we've asked spaces as small as yours to have security out front for that very purpose. But I think in my mind, we've only asked them to have them on the weekends. But because the weekend nights were usually closing later. Here, your proposal, if we went through with it of until 3 a.m. Every night of the week. I think we would absolutely demand that security. Regardless of whether or not the board stipulates these hours, I think we would want to see that security every single night of the week. Is that something that you'd be amenable to?
And also I want security for our girls because we all been attacked. And I don't want that to happen to any of us. So security will be.
So yes, security is a stipulation we're happy to sign.
Okay, for all the other. Great. Thank you very much. I'll let the other committee members out there.
Ted? You're muted, Ted.
Yes, sorry about that, guys. Yeah, I remember this was actually one of the first applications that I said no to on the board, and it was a big thing. I was just curious, do you guys have a name that you're going to consider doing business as for this space? And is this actually this is next door to the Bathtub Gin, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so it's funny, with respect to the name, it was a kind of a recent discussion, and actually one that I had with Frank, where, we were kind of talking through it. It's like, what, if the name is so similar to the other place, we might attract that clientele. And that was a really good point that resonated, and that's not something that they want. So while they don't have a name yet, we're happy to stipulate what it won't be, or what it won't be a derivation of, to avoid that issue specifically.
Okay. Also, Bathtub Gym's hours, they're open until 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. on weekends. And also that's a little bit more hidden off the street, so it would be naturally quieter. I would just say that would be something for the board to consider. That's just me thinking out loud.
Yeah, look, for what it's worth, and being mindful of everyone's time, and the fact that a lot of you guys have actually heard this application multiple times, and she's been paying rent for almost 2 years in this space. So in the interest of moving this along and trying to get to a place where people can feel comfortable. We understand that the hours that the space had previously were 1 during the week, 2 on the weekends. And if that was where the board felt comfortable, we could go there.
And what was the feedback that you got from the SLA when you submitted? Was it just outright denial or?
No, it wasn't actually. It was the chairman at the time, who's no longer the chairman, was leaning towards an approval for what we asked for. And Commissioner Fan, who was the only other voting party, said she'd really prefer if we came back to speak to the community board again before going back to see them.
Okay, done? Okay, thank you. Inga, and then Kerry.
Yeah, I too remember this one. And I just want to, first of all, point out the petitions. There are 2 petitions. There are petitions by the applicant for this location. And if you read the addresses of the people that signed, the majority of people live far away. They don't live in Chelsea. There are some that do, but most of those signatures are people that live in other parts of Manhattan or not in the city at all. The petitions against this application are from residents that are literally on that block or nearby. So you guys should pay attention to the petition signatures. That's important for the neighborhood because the neighbors are against this. Also, it's a very residential street. There aren't a lot of businesses that are open that late in this area. If you look at what's there and what's across the street, there's Selena's and there's Bathtub Gin, which is hidden. I would still have to vote against these late hours and this.
Yeah, there's 77 petition signatures within 2 blocks of the location out of the over 180 that were submitted. So there were, we did have a nice cluster around the space.
Okay. Kerry and then Wendy.
Hi, thanks. I just wanted to know, and sorry if I missed it, if there was an acoustic report done, because I don't see that in the application. And I think Frank mentioned that was one of the stipulations.
No, Carrie, to be clear, there were no stipulations previously.
Oh, because it was denied. I understand.
What we added was what we would like to see if it were going to get approved over despite our recommendation of denial. And one of those was that they get an acoustic report.
Understood. Thanks for clarifying.
Upon inspection, it does appear that there is some soundproofing in the space. Plus, again, this is going to be background music, but if an acoustic report is something the board would like us to do, we can add that as another stipulation.
I just wonder. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. I just wonder, usually we have that before we vote so that we have, the recommendation from the professional, because you do have people like right above you and it is super, I know it's on the avenue, but it's a very residential section. Would you be willing?
I guess 2 points, Carrie, given how far out the full board is, I suspect they could get a report, maybe even before the July BLP meeting, but certainly by the full board, if that were a determinative factor. And the other thing is to keep in mind that it had been licensed as an adjunct of Bathtub Gin, so it had been operating as a bar. I'm not sure what kind of operation they had, but it's not like it was an unlicensed premise before.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Wendy.
Thanks. I also remember this applicant. I want to say thank you for the thoughtful presentation and, coming back to the community in a way that I think shows that you heard a lot of the community concerns. I think I've been struck by the difference in what has been described tonight as the planned mode of operation, and then also just the very clear concerns that are included in the testimony from neighbors who oppose this. and I saw a flyer that I think that one of the neighbors created to try to drum up additional opposition to this. And it's very clearly, they don't want a nightclub in the neighborhood is the language that's used. So I'm curious what neighborhood block associations, I'm sorry if you touched upon this, but you just could remind us what neighborhood block association meetings, outreach, conversations with the neighbors, because if there wasn't a lot of that done, I do feel like maybe that's an opportunity to go back, really meet them and explain what you're trying to do here, because I think what you're trying to do sounds amazing. It's just so far from the perception that the neighbors have right now.
Yeah, we understand that. And we've had some conversations. The 300 West 1819 Block Association was the one that was most active in dialogue with us back and forth. We sent an information packet to everyone on the community board's list of people affected by this. Viviana's received some calls from people independently. We're part of boards, but we're really inquiring more as residents. And I think you hit the nail on the head. I think there's a disconnect with people expecting this to be a nightclub, expecting this to be operated like fairy tales. And that's just absolutely not what we're looking to do. And we're happy to, like I said, stipulate to whatever you need us to give you confidence that that's not what we're going to do. Obviously, if we operate as a nightclub, that would be contrary to our stipulations, and we're in danger of losing our liquor license. We're happy to stipulate that there's none of the, the lap dances or any of the other things that happen at the other place that we don't like specifically, that we are very specifically trying to do differently here, which is why we're doing it. If she liked that kind of environment, she'd get involved with those guys. She doesn't. She's trying to do something different here that is exactly what we're representing it to be and nothing different. And I appreciate that people don't want fairy tales in their neighborhood, and frankly, neither does she.
Christine?
Christine?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a compelling, new direction, let's put it this way. But the point that I think Wendy was making is that you need to meet with the people. Stipulation is not going to be enough. You need to have meetings with
Christine, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Here's the time frame we're under. The SLA is going to hear this next Wednesday, the 22nd. And that was the only time that I guess we were allowed it. I wasn't at the meeting that Joe was at, but evidently they postponed it, perhaps to get clear of this meeting tonight. I don't know, but we have
correct. But what they wanted.
We have to get our position into the SLA by Friday, and there's going to be a hearing on Wednesday. So before the full board.
The way the liquor authority. I'm sorry, go ahead, Christine.
Go ahead, Christine.
So I think that, in order to get over the hump with the disconnect between the perception, I think changing your hours of operation would make a huge difference. Because
I've already stated.
And so if you're saying it's like 1 and 2 or 12 and 1, I don't know what people would be comfortable. It's going to send a huge, loud and clear message of we are something different, and this is who we are. And as we have discussed before, you can always come back and once
of course
established, etc. But I think that's going to be the big difference right now, to send a message to the community.
Of course, and like I said, we would take the hours that were in place previously, and we've removed the DJ from the application. And I think lowering the hours and eliminating the DJ altogether should send a very clear message that this is not and can't be a nightclub.
And also, I think the name change.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to say it's 9:15 right now. Ted, you have your hand up. And then I see there are at least 10 people from the community who want to speak.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah. OMG, Christine, right.
I'll wait until the people speak.
Okay, so now we have 12 people from.
Bert, let's see how many people want to speak. If
I see
every,
12, I see 13 people have hands raised right
yeah,
now.
could anyone who wants to speak in favor or against this application in the attendee community section, please raise your hand now.
So
Okay,
we're 11. We're at 11. I would like to say, when you move people over, Nelly, and to the people who from the community, we would like you to limit your speaking to perhaps a minute and a half, 2 minutes at the most, and please do not repeat what somebody previously has said. Just say, I'm in agreement with so-and-so, thank you. But we don't.
Bert, it's up to 14 or 15. Can we limit to 1 minute? Sorry. But...
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yes, it's gone up to 15. Yes, Jesse, thank you I didn't notice that. Now, it's up to 16. Definitely 1 minute apiece. Frank is going to keep time. Okay, bring them over, Nelly.
And Nelly, if you
Thank
could
you.
bring over 2 or 3 at a time,
Yes.
so we don't have lag time between them.
Yes, first we have Lou. Oh, no, they jumped off. We have David, Mac, Susan.
Okay. David, we're ready.
David, you're on mute.
Please unmute, David.
All right, there we go. Thank you. Sorry, guys. You got me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is David Sloss. I'm a member of the 300 West 18th and 19th Street Block Association. Our organization is still opposed to this liquor license being granted for numerous reasons, all of which have been well documented and shared with the BRP committee and CB4. I know my time is very limited here, so I'm just going to briefly outline one of our primary concerns. Despite the applicant trying to distance themselves from the Fairy Tale Lounge Bar on 500 West 48th Street, all their marketing materials indicate that they are, for all intents and purposes, the same operators. Susieville is advertising parties open 7 days a week, 5 p.m. to 4 a.m. at 500 West 48th Street. So our question is, how is that practically different from being the operator of that establishment? That would cover the vast majority of the operating hours that bar is licensed to be open, and obviously a great deal of many more hours for which it is not licensed to be open.
Okay, David,
CB4.
that's a minute. Thanks, David.
Oh, really?
Okay, you finish up.
I'm representing quite a number of people on the block. Can I get another 30 seconds?
Okay.
Okay, so just you understand what the steps are for the Fairy Tale Lounge are 11 to 12:30 Sunday to Thursday, Friday and Saturday it's 11 a.m. to 2:30 a.m. So how then are we to trust what the applicant says about how they would operate in the new space when they are advertising hours that are in direct violation of the stipulations for that bar? Their claim is that their new license is for an OP 252 license, the method of operation being a bar tavern, and that of course then they won't be running it as a nightclub. But that's the Fairy Tale Lounge is also an OP 252, and clearly Susieville's marketing materials for that location are not advertising a bar tavern experience, but a different kind of experience entirely.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. Mac?
Oh, yeah. Got a lot of time.
Hi, I live on 9th Avenue between 19th and 20th, and I work on 14th between 9th and 10th. And I walk by this location just about every day. I just want everyone to be clear that the sidewalk in that particular block is incredibly narrow in that space. There's a location next door with grading, with a fencing around, and there's Bathtub Gin, which has been there for a number of years, which occupied this space before. Allowing this This license would be a net increase of another liquor license in an area that is already in danger of becoming victim to creep up from the meatpacking district and changing the very residential character of the neighborhood. And moreover, there's nothing about the application, despite the applicant's words here today, that suggests the intention here is to do anything other than open a location that's open until 3 a.m., that has minimal food served, that does not serve the needs of this community, and in fact sets the stage for us to complain about this location when something happens for years to come. So I could not be more opposed to this application.
Okay, thank you, Mac. Nellie, who else do you have over here?
Therefore.
Now we have Susan.
Okay, hi, everyone. It's Susan Marshall. I'm also with the 300 West 18th and 19th Street Block Association. I agree with everything David and Mac have said. I also want to thank Joseph and Jake for corresponding with us and answering our questions. We did attempt to meet in person, but schedules did not align. They were very forthcoming. But given the amount of advertisements of Susie Villa Tea Playground events at Fairy Tale Lounge and Susie Villa Tea Playground Facebook page and Instagram pages, we do not believe that this bar/tavern will be differentiated from the uptown nightclub establishment atmosphere, and that we believe they're trying to pull the wool over our eyes to get this application. And they have a downstairs in their plans, and we don't want to have a nightclub titty bar in our neighborhood, straight, gay, trans, or otherwise. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Who do you have next, Nellie?
Next, we have Simone, Miguel, and Gina.
Okay, Simone.
Hi, my name is Simone Wolf. I'm a Chelsea resident. I'm actually a third-generation Chelsea resident. I'm also a trans community member, which is something that you guys haven't heard from yet. I'm here to support Susie Villa. I don't know her personally. I hope I get to meet her when she becomes a business owner in my neighborhood. She's absolutely correct that there are not a lot of safe places for trans people, especially in nightlife, especially trans women. And it would mean a lot to me as a trans person in the community to have a place to go. I think whatever, the more direct neighbors want, but having a place that's open really late means that people don't have to go to another bar and they can stay where they're safe, which I think is really meaningful. And I honestly I'm really disappointed that my community members don't seem to want to give this trans woman a chance to redefine herself if that's what she wants and to be part of our community. I think she really belongs here. And I think that honestly, there's a lot of transphobia behind the resistance to giving her a chance.
Thank
and
you.
I'd like you guys to look into that.
Miguel?
I'm here. Sorry about that, Bert. Okay, I represent the biggest residential block association directly across from this establishment, and no one has made any attempt to reach out to me to talk about what you want to put there. I am totally, and so are my residents, opposing this establishment coming to this community for every single reason David, Susan, and Matt explained. Thank you.
Thank you, Miguel. Gina?
Hi, thank you to the co-chairs and the committee members for holding space. My name is Gina. I am an advocate for youth and young adults on the local and state level. I have personally spoken with Susie, and we personally know each other. I know that Susie wants to honor her legacy to hold space for transgender individuals, such as like myself. And I'm also very disappointed at how this meeting is going and how we're not giving Susie the opportunity to go on her independent way and open her new space, which she is trying her best to provide resources to people like myself and resources to the transgender and non-binary community as well. And it's really important for those spaces to be open. And we have heard it from Susie herself. We have heard it from her attorney. She wants to fix her reputation. People make mistakes, and it's an opportunity for us to give to Susie to clear her reputation up, clean it up, and she wants another chance. Let's give her another chance. She is right. She needs to give people the opportunity to feel safe. And we have an option to do that by helping Susie open up her new location and help her be creative with creating safe spaces. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do we have that? Is it this sequence? Nellie, Missy, Wendy, and then Hector?
Yes.
Okay, Missy.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hi. I appreciate that Susie wants to give people the opportunity to have a safe space, but I just don't think this is the location. I mean, if Bathtub Gin is any example, we can expect a long line to get in on a narrow sidewalk and people coming out drunk, talking loudly late at night, and then throwing up in our tree pit gardens. I find this, an additional bar near schools to be, and across from Fulton houses, to be a burden to the neighborhood, and just not a good idea to have. Bathtub Gin is enough on that block. You just don't need two, especially next to each other. Thank you.
Thank you. Wendy?
Hi, I'll keep it very short because I know time is limited. First of all, I 100% agree with Missy. I cannot thank David Sloss enough. Those points have been made. They are very well taken. Miguel, you live right by Fulton. You've been wonderful to me. If they haven't appreciated talking to you, that's not good enough. They need to approach you. I understand and appreciate she wants to change her image. However, history repeats. That name association is too close. The hours are too long. The only thing I can add besides my agreement with these people is that I work as a civilian member of the NYPD. When I get into work every morning, I look at what the 10th precinct has dealt with the night before. 9th Avenue between 16th, 17th, 18th Street is an absolute disaster. On 19th Street, there was a squad car, not one 10th precinct, but another squad car parked by the dumpsters, often ready for trouble on 19th Street in anticipation of. So if we've already got the trouble from 19th on 16, 17, 18, let's not add any more. I am very much against this. I appreciate what she's doing. This is not the place. Thank you very much.
Hector.
Evening, everybody. I echo the sentiments of Wendy and Miguel. As being a member of the Tenants Association here in Fulton, basically, a lot of our neighbors and residents have spoken up about this. It is not about going against the LGBTQ plus community. This is an all-inclusive neighborhood, but we don't appreciate that they have Susie has not approached any of us, even though they claim they have, and they've had 2 years to prepare for this, because obviously she stated she paid 2 years worth of rent, and yet now she's coming up with all these changes all of a sudden with the name and everything at the last minute. I find that highly suspicious, and I hope the community board will vote against the liquor license and approval of this.
Okay. And I think we have Hannah, Robert, and Thomas. Hannah. Unmute, Hannah.
Here we go. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, so I actually live in 134 9th Avenue. I have no issue with creating a safe space for anybody, but I do think it's concerning if she's been paying rent on this location for 2 years. I don't see why she can't open this safe space and get herself really friendly with the community before applying for this liquor license that obviously we are all very opposed to. I just think when there's smoke, there's fire, and it just doesn't feel right with the way she's going about this. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Robert.
Hi, everybody. I'm Robert. I live at 136 9th Avenue. I've been here 19 years and have seen the neighborhood changed a lot, good and bad. You know, at these hearings, everybody promises the best, but we all know how that turns out. Bathtub Gin, always a line, almost reaches my apartment door, narrow sidewalks, very noisy. On any given night, I can tell you where the people are going when they leave Bathtub Gin because I can hear all the conversations and the cackling and the screaming. We don't need another bar, late night place on the block. It's a small block. It's all brownstones, residential across the street from, you know, the low income housing. And I just don't think it's something that we need in the neighborhood.
Okay, Thomas.
I echo majority of those within the community who are opposing this. I will say that I appreciate Jesse's questions around security in general of the location, but I think off of Wendy's comment, this block in particular has a lot of individuals that already hang out around, and there are safety concerns. And I think even by providing security, will that actually address the issue that already exists? Because what control will security for this location have over those that already hang out within this area? And we have these ongoing concerns with.
Thank you. Dominic. Dominic? Okay, Dominic.
Oh, there you are. There you are. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me now? Sorry about that.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Dominic Romeo. I'm a superintendent in Chelsea, New York. I just want to make it perfectly clear. We are not against our transgender brothers and sisters moving into our community. We are against this adult nightclub that's linked to escorting moving into our community. That we have heard some hatred that's going on towards what's been going on towards our brothers and sisters, and we can continue to condemn this hatred. But this is not about that. This is about Susie Villa and their promoter, which is in front of you right now, with their horrible reputation. If you go to their original location on 48th Street, you will see their windows have been completely blanketed with black curtains, and that their entrance door leading into their building that the tenants use to go into their apartments above have several posters on their front door that read, private property, no loitering, no drinking, no eating, and big letters. And when I've asked, because I went over there, some of the residents who live there, if this was as a result of the adult nightclub downstairs, and they all said that it was. According to Vivian D. Grout's lawyers, Vivian D. Grout being the owner of Susie DeVille T Playground, his response to our question, I'm sorry?
Dominic, you're over a minute, so if you could just wrap up quickly.
Okay, just finishing this up. When asked, how is this business, the business that they want to create on 18th Street, affiliated with Susie Villa, Uptown and Hell's Kitchen, his response was, Vivian was previously worked as a party planner, producer of the events and nightclubs throughout New York City. And that's our problem. She was one of the producers that produced these events there. So what makes that any different than what she wants to do now? And as so far as Viviana is concerned, my heart is for you. You're just in the wrong place. If this was on 11th Avenue, I don't think our community would have a problem with this.
Thanks, Dominic.
Okay, thank you. Lou,
Thank
and then
you.
Karen.
Hi, I am a Chelsea resident. I live on 9th Avenue, and I just wanted to voice my support for Susie and Viviana. I'm a member of the trans community as well, and I don't go out very much because I am tired of people staring at me, and I'm tired of not like feeling at home in a district in a neighborhood that's supposedly historically queer. Everybody wants to be our friend during Pride Month, but nobody wants to make sure that there are safe places for us to go and be in community together. I really appreciate all of the flexibility and generosity that each of the community board members here have offered the other applicants this evening. And I just hope that that same flexibility can be offered to this applicant now. Thank you so much for your time. I really, I just want to voice my support yet again. Thank you.
Thank you. Karen?
Hi, thanks so much for allowing me to speak. I'm a resident. I live at 22nd Street and 9th Avenue. I have absolutely no affiliation with any other group or or affinity organization at all. I just want to say I love and support our LGBTQIA plus community, particularly our trans brothers and sisters. I do not think this club has convinced us in the neighborhood yet that it is going to be a positive addition. I love giving them a safe space. Yes, absolutely. But what I have read about this owner and this club, its other outposts, makes me very uncomfortable. I don't believe there's been any outreach to the community to say we're going to be a part of the community, we're going to be safe, we're going to be make everybody feel that they have a voice if it's uncomfortable, if it's loud, if it's late, if it's vomiting, if it's drugs, God forbid, if it's prostitution,
Karen.
I'm uncomfortable.
Karen, thanks a lot. That's over a minute now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Akashdeep.
Hi, can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Hi, so I'm a resident of the 134 9th Avenue building, and just kind of reiterating a lot of what other people said. The two things that kind of stand out to me is, I haven't been really, I haven't seen any like effort to be for anyone from this business to reach out to people in the building. If they've been here for 2 years, I expect to have seen that by now. The previous tenants in the commercial space, we had a decent relationship with them. We at least had some communication. And also I think, our building is not really like equipped for too much of like a nightclub kind of space. It's small space. Our basement is shared. We have like a shared stairwell to the downstairs. Just kind of things to consider. Late hours also, I think would severely like deteriorate our living conditions here. Yeah, I think that's mainly what I have to say. I hope you guys find a safe space for yourself. I just don't think this building is the right place for that.
Okay, thank you. Wendy, we have one more. Dennis?
Yeah, hi. I'm Dennis. I'm the vice president of the 300 West 18th and 19th Streets Block Associations. If you recall, several years ago, we declined an application from Maggie Riley, who was on 9th Avenue and 28th Street. She wanted to open an establishment on that same block, and we just felt that it was too much for the neighborhood to handle.
Okay,
That's
thank
it.
you, Dennis.
You're welcome.
Nellie, do we have anybody else?
Yeah, it looks like there are two more.
Two
Susan
more
Marshall.
additional raised hands, Nellie? Well, Susan spoke already.
All right. Well, David's new. David
David.
Aloka.
Okay, David.
Yeah, hi, it's Dave Aloka. I live around.
Sorry, David, you.
Sorry, I moved the wrong person over. Hold on, David. David, you can unmute yourself. I'm so sorry. David, unmute.
David, you have to unmute.
I live around the corner on 19th Street. This is Dave Holoka. And I have to say, coming home at night, the east side of 9th Avenue can be like a gauntlet. It's often impossible to pass people who are lingering outside of the night spots. The other night, a guy literally fell over against me, nearly knocked me down. I often cross the street just to be able to get home rather than walking on that side of 9th Avenue. I think it's just way too narrow a sidewalk, way too crowded and full of nightlife for a residential neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Anyone else, Nellie? I don't see anyone.
The only other person is Susan, but she already spoke.
Right, Susan already spoke.
Actually, I wanted to say something, Susie Darling, if that's
Oh.
okay.
As a community member, go ahead, Susan.
Yes, I'm glad I stayed to the end because I do have a Pocket Bar, which is on 48th Street, which is half a block from Fairy Tale. And I just was wondering what they're known for is actually having illegal sexual acts in there. And I would really urge this committee to speak with Elka Fears and JD Nolan because we've had a really, really difficult time for the last 9 years with this establishment, as well as what the one gentleman said, like once they have that certain license, which Fairy Tales has, but now they've turned into something completely different and they can't be, the community can't do anything about it. And it's really difficult. And that's all. It's been, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So where are we?
I'd like to address some of those things if I could, Bert.
We have two more committee people, three. I see Inga, Ted, and Wendy. And then, okay, Joseph, after Inga, Ted, and Wendy. Oh, and Jesse.
Hi, you asked where we were. I think the community has kind of given us an idea where we are. I know where I am. I would have to vote to deny this. And for many, many reasons, I won't hold us up.
Ted?
I wanted to know if I could ask, why did they end up paying rent for 2 years on the space? That seems a little bit fishy. I really want to vote in favor of a safe place for the transgender community in Chelsea. And, you know, with lower hours, I would, but I just don't think that the board is going to vote that way with all the opposition. So I just wanted to get a little bit more information about the rent for 2 years.
All right, Ted, let's wait and let Joe address it all together. But Joe, please make sure that's on your list.
Okay, Wendy and then Jesse.
I have more of a procedural question. So Frank and Bert, kind of for you guys, because I think this is the first time I've had the experience of there being a hearing with the State Liquor Authority before that, or that was imminent, basically. So usually for this case, I would say, I really want to believe this operator and I really want a safe space for the trans community in the neighborhood. And I think there's just a huge disconnection with the community, in which case, would ideally, you'd postpone, you'd come back next time, you would have had great conversations over the course of the month, and you all can feel really good about approving this. But this hearing is just it's a new situation for me. So I'm curious, Frank and Bert, if we vote to recommend to deny, what happens at the hearing? Because could it potentially still be approved and then none of the stipulations we've discussed become part of that? Or
no, that's exactly the right question, Wendy. If we vote to deny, our letter will go to the SLA, and someone, in this case, I guess me, will be at the meeting on Wednesday arguing our position. It is possible, and it's why this board typically likes to work out compromises. It's possible it's, you know, a thumbs up, thumbs down, we'll lose our seat at the table and the SLA will just do what they want. I would say it's equally possible that the SLA will try to reach a compromise, which is why we included those stipulations in our last letter 2 years ago, which basically said, we want this denied, but if you disagree with us, please at least do these, you know, six minimal things that, you know, we think would improve the situation. But we really have no control. And I would say the times first of all, we rarely vote for outright denials, but just in observing the SLA, it is very hard to get them to completely deny a liquor license, not just from this community board, just from when I've been at hearings there. I know our elected officials in the past have written letters to the SLA complaining that they disregard the views of the community and the community board. So there's no guarantee that they will go along with the denial. or, accept any steps we offer as a backup. But if that ends up being our position, that's what our letter will say, and that's what I will argue for next Wednesday in person.
Right, and Frank will be
By the way,
there.
if anyone else wants to go instead on Wednesday, the invitation is open.
The way the schedule is right now, Frank will be there in the morning. In case they don't get to this, Jesse Bodine will be there in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Not
Just
Jesse
in case,
Greenwald.
yeah. Just in case you think we have a bad agenda, the SLA agendas are like 200 to 400 items every day, every time they have a meeting.
Okay. Jesse Greenwald and then Christine.
I put my hand down. Christine, go ahead.
Okay. Christine.
I want to follow up on what Ted was asking, which is what happened in the last 2 years? I mean, we made our letter, maybe I missed that at the beginning. We send our letters and then nothing happened. And then everybody comes back like 1 week before the SLA. What happened in between? I mean, wasn't there a lot of opportunity if they had a plan to talk to anybody for 2 years? And it looks like very few people were talked to for 2 years. I mean, I'm just puzzled about what happened during the 2 years and why it wasn't used to a better effect to get us to this situation here.
Okay, Joseph.
I have a lot to talk about here. So let's talk procedurally about the last 2 years. Viviana had bad counsel. She was advised to sign a lease without any guarantee that she'd get a liquor license, with no contingency if she didn't get a liquor license. That's bad advice. She tried to do the right thing and engage someone to help her. They didn't. They went to go see you guys, and you guys got a half-assed presentation, pardon the language. We tried, when we were engaged about a month after that, to come back and see the board. And we were told that we don't feel anything's changed. We already voted on this. We're not going to do it again. So we proceeded to the liquor authority, which is our recourse, which is what we do. And then there's a 500-foot rule hearing, and then there's a full board meeting. Generally speaking, when you're going to the liquor authority over a community board objection, these days, it's taking like 9 months. For this particular application, it took over a year. And we finally got to the full board. And they said, did you try to re-engage with the community board? We said, yes, we did. They didn't want to meet with us. And they said, okay, we'll try again. If they don't want to meet with you again, you come back and see us and we'll give you what you want. If they do want to meet with you, please do it, meet with people in the community, do the work, and then come back and see us. And they put us on the agenda for the 21st. So we re-engaged. I spoke with Jesse and he said, yep, re-notify, we'll get you on the next calendar, put your package together, do your outreach. And we basically started over, and we didn't represent this group the first go around. We represented them this time, and we did everything we could to do as much as we could in the window that we had to do it. And that's kind of.
But I'm sorry, did I heard you that you were hired 1 month after the first thing? So you have been on it for now 23 months, right?
Well, no. There was, close actually. But okay. we tried to re-engage with the community board and we heard there was no interest. So we proceeded to the state liquor authority.
But you didn't try to re-engage the community or change your terms and conditions, right?
Well, we did.
What you
we changed some of the items for the method of operation. And we did it this time around.
Just for now, not 2 years ago.
But Christine, I guess what he's saying is they didn't think that they thought they were just going in front of the SLA at that point for about a year. Yeah,
I get it.
This is the platform. This is the platform to have the conversation. And when we tried to re-engage after the first meeting, we were told there was no interest in re-engaging from the community board side.
Yeah.
So we said, okay.
Yeah. Just to be clear, I remember that, but it was just about a month after your first appearance before it was a month or maybe 2 months after you did before us. And I don't think we heard anything indicating that your position had changed or, you were offering to change the name or anything. Forgive me if I'm misremembering, And I think the decision then was that it was just, too recent, and we get a lot of requests that people just don't like the result and want to come back and re-argue. So, barring, any indication that something was changing, I think our decision back then was the right one.
Yeah, look, and we'll have to agree to disagree on that. Like, I felt like it was compelling for us to come back. You guys felt like it wasn't, and here we are. We put in our application. We're trying to do the right thing. We're trying to be flexible. We're making concessions. We're trying to give the board and the community things to give you comfort that we are not going to be this thing that people think we are going to be. And I don't know how else to do that other than to tell you to agree to stipulations and make whatever representations we can make.
Okay.
So we're happy to concede on the hours.
I got it.
We're happy to concede on the hours.
There's also, in terms of reaching out, there are community organizations that you don't seem to have reached out to. For example, the Fulton Tenants Association. They came here and they said, no outreach, no communication. These are people who live right across the street. That strikes me as something very, very blind, okay? And there's also a question of trust. And I know you're aware of that. I know you're aware of the question of trust because you have emphasized, no, we're not going to be that way. No, we're not going to do this. No, this, no, that. It happened there. We had no control. There's still that question of trust.
I appreciate that.
Wait. So one of the things, you may be reasonable and be flexible on hours, but you're also up against that trust that people are not able to jump and say, take a deep breath and go, okay, I believe him. I just want you to be aware of that it's something that's very important here on this board and in the community. Okay? I see Inga and Kerry.
Wait, I just have a follow-up question.
Hold on a second. I thought it was.
Joe hasn't finished talking, but I have one follow-up question to what you just said. So there was a 500-foot rule hearing, Joe?
Yes.
And what happened? What was the result?
Well, they obviously voted that it should be a full board case, because it was.
Well, yeah, but they have to make a finding whether it's in a public interest or not. What did they do?
Correct. If they had found that it wasn't a public benefit, there would not have been a full board case. It would not have been a full board issue, and we would not be here. It would be done and issued already. The judge ruled that they did not feel that we met our burden of showing public interest, which is why it became a 500-foot full board case rather to begin with.
Right.
So just so I'm clear, so the administrative law judge determined that an additional license would not be in the public interest. That was
the administrative law judge supported the community board's position, which they do 99% of the time, as you know.
All right. And I will tell the committee and the community that the SLA board does not feel an obligation to, I mean, they take the 500-foot rule hearing under advisement, but they do not feel they have an obligation to adhere to it necessarily. And we have opposed at least two ones where the 500-foot rule hearing went in our favor and the SLA ultimately decided to grant the license. But, and Joe, we were going to let you speak. Were there other responses you wanted to make?
Yeah, I wanted to respond to some of the community comments. Again, I don't know how many times I could say this tonight. We are not involved with ownership or operations at the Fairy Tale location. That is not us. We have no control over there. We don't like what's happening over there, which is why she is distancing herself from that place. As far as the marketing materials that are being circulated, these are old flyers of hers that they are currently circulating. She's not even doing it right now. She's not circulating those flyers. These are old flyers that they are recirculating. As to their method of operation, their sign stipulation with respect to hours, she doesn't know. She's not an operator there. She's not an owner there. She's just an outside promoter, party planner who is curating lists of people to come to that place. And then they are then taking it and doing something with it that she's not proud of, which is why we're here in the first place. We don't want to be that. As far as the comments about an adult club, a nightclub, a strip club, not us. We can stipulate to all of that. It's in our application with the state that we are not that. Like I said, we're happy to concede on the hours to go down to what the prior operator was in that space. We have done away with DJs. You can't be a nightclub with no DJs and earlier hours. We're trying to do what we can here. There was a mention of the downstairs space turning into something that is 100% purely back of house storage. There's no patron access downstairs for anything that's not in the plan. We're talking about the ground floor space alone. There's no outdoor seating. There's no doors or windows that'll be open. There's nothing that's going to be happening outside this place other than the security guards who will be keeping the front of the space clear. I don't know what else to say other than that. As for the 2 years, we already discussed that.
Yeah, just to clarify, so when did your client stop having any kind of affiliation with Fairy Tales, the West?
They're winding it down as we speak to be totally done with it when they're able to. This is, I mean, it's part of her only livelihood. She's not generating any revenue right now. She's spent every dime she's had keeping this place afloat for the last few years, just waiting to open it. So she's winding things down there. What we're talking about, the flyers with 4 a.m. anything, she hasn't circulated anything like that in years.
Doesn't make any sense.
Okay, I see 4 committee members with hands up.
Yep.
And I'm aware of the time, 9:58, 10 o'clock. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. Inga, Carrie, Christine, and then Jesse.
Thank
And then
you.
Frank, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I just want to very quickly reiterate that the community outreach, not going back to the community board, but for 2 years, you knew this was happening. You did not reach out to the community. There are a lot of residents that are opposed, that were opposed. You've still not made the outreach. The community board is the community board, but the community just walking across the street, just sending an email, talking to people. I just can't support this. I'm sorry. 2 years of no action.
Carrie, Christine, Jesse, Frank, and then Ted.
Thanks, Bert. Yeah, I'm just thinking that, you know, I feel conflicted, as many other people have stated, but in the interest of moving things to some kind of resolution and knowing that SLA is going to vote on this, shouldn't we not just kind of do what we did before, which is deny with stipulations? I know, so we always deny unless, but like deny with the stipulations that we had last time, potentially even more, which are, I guess, no DJ, no live music of any kind, simply background music. No, I've never seen this on a form. So like, I don't know how it appears, but like no strip club, no escort service, no, I guess that, and a change in the hours to, which I don't think we had a resolution on, but I believe it was 2 a.m. and 2 a.m. in the weekdays, 3 a.m. on the weekends. Maybe that's too late for a first round of trying to gain community trust, and we make it more like
they've offered 1 and 2.
So
Carrie.
1 and 2, great. So those stipulations, or those, if you're going to approve this, then please consider.
And name change. Christine?
Yeah, and the name change, yes.
Yeah, I agree with you, Carrie, by the way. But I still have another question. When you're going to start this business, you have a mailing list right now. And so what is happening to that mailing list? Is this mailing list transgender, 100% transgender, or is it, what are you doing with the mailing list, and how you're going to reduce it to transgender only?
Yeah. So she has a mailing list that's not 100% transgender, and she's not looking to be exclusive here and only allow in transgender folks. She's looking to be inclusive with a focus on creating a safe space for members of the entire LGBTQ community, with transgendered folks as being a large part of that. It's not exclusively a transgender place only and no one else can come in. If that's what you mean.
What's the size of that mailing list? I mean, if it's not confidential.
About 500 people on our mailing list.
Okay, so that's what we need to think about. This is what this is the maximum size of people coming to this.
Well, it's yeah, 74 person space. So
that seems to me like.
And again, this isn't a venue. We're not doing, you know, these 500 person events. This is going to be a bar that's open every day, just like any other.
But wait a minute.
bar.
So how do you bring the people to the bar, and what are you doing with your mailing list? Are you selling your mailing list?
I don't think she's selling
your mailing list. Are you selling?
I think she's going to promote to people on her mailing list that she's now opening a bar, and if they'd like to come, it's a safe space, and promoting what it is.
That's what promoters do, and then they have a lot of people coming to events.
But not event specific. It's not a venue. We're not saying
no,
500
it's going to
people.
be, why don't you come Tuesday? Here we go.
No, it's going to be, I'm opening for business on Monday. Please come and say hi if you're in the neighborhood. This is what we're doing here.
So
like
anyway,
any other bar would be.
Anyway, that is my concern about, you know, the size of the place and the people coming in is anyway, I'm supporting what Carrie proposed.
Okay, Jesse.
This is really tough. And we're, you know, I think everyone here on the committee is really trying to think this through and really being open to what we're hearing from you, the applicant and your attorneys, and also to community members. You know, obviously the lack of trust, the lack of outreach is a problem, but also, you know, I think we recognize that you've been in this location now for 2 years, paying rent, which I'm sure is you know, significant to you financially, and that you're committed to the space, that you've taken off a DJ, you're committing to a number of different paths forward that would make it really clear that this is not a nightclub. With all of that said, though, I think really the only way, and you know, in my ideal world, we give you, because of that lack of trust, we vote with some pretty restrictive times for a year, and then you come back for later hours after a year of good operation. It might change the nature of what you're thinking, how your business would run, but I think I would be at most comfortable with 11 on weekdays and midnight on weekends. I could potentially vote for that, along with everything else that's been discussed. Thanks.
Frank?
Sure. I guess I'm as conflicted as everyone else. I actually went by Fairy Tales on Thursday about 1:45, which according to Fairy Tales liquor license was 15 minutes after they were supposed to stop serving liquor. And the Fairy Tales is as described, that the curtains are the windows are all covered with curtains, which is prohibited by the SLA. There's a vestibule with a person behind a plexiglass thing collecting a cover charge. There are curtains so you can't see into the bar. They told me I had to prepay for a drink as well as a cover charge, and that they were open till 3 a.m. So everything going on there right now, I can fully understand that it does not belong in this block of Chelsea. And that doesn't have to do with it being trans. It's like, I didn't go in, I didn't pay the $30 cover charge. So I don't know exactly what was going on in there, but I could tell it was not the sort of place that belongs on the block like this one. So that's one side of things. The other, though, is that I do appreciate all the concessions that the applicant has made, including what I think is a really major one, which is not using the Susie Villa name and you know, breaking the tie with what's going on 48th Street. What I'm wrestling with is it does come down to trust that the stipulations are going to be followed. Because I think if we got them all and they were followed, you know, this might work at this location, because I don't want to just dismiss, you know, someone who says she's trying to do something very different, and we've heard support, you know, the need, you know, for a trans safe space, which I do believe there's sort of a dearth of in this district and probably in the city. So I'm still thinking about that, but, you know, I fully recognize, you know, how bad the way Fairy Tales and Susie Villa on 48th Street is being advertised now. And so it all comes down to, you know, can I believe that that is not going to be repeated on, you know, at this location? And that includes, you know, that the applicant's going to have to be careful not to attract people coming to this new location that is doing what they thought they would, you know, what they were previously doing on 48th Street. So I'm still thinking about it.
Okay, Ted, and I'd like us to begin to move towards some kind of resolution. Ted?
I just want to say I really want to vote in favor, but the thing that's holding
You
me.
had your hand raised, Ted. Oh, Ted.
Can you hear me? Hello?
We can hear you.
We can
Okay.
hear you.
Yeah, so I mean, I really want to trust, but even though the last 2 years you still allowed these other people to use your list and run your this type of party, and that's continuing to ruin your reputation. I think what happened is that they went to the SLA, they got a couple weeks ago, they said, hey, let's come back because we're going to deny it, and they're trying to get an approval, which, you know, I respect them from coming in to get it changed. I'm still on the fence as well.
Okay. I wasn't at, or I didn't watch the SLA hearing, but I thought Joe said that the then commissioner was ready to approve it, and the other commissioner was the one who asked them to come back. So I don't think they were going to get denied. It sounds like if anything, they were going to get approved. Is that what happened, Joe?
That is my read on the situation. The chairman said, I'm ready to vote on this. And I see what this is. And it was Commissioner Fan who said, I'd really like you to go back and talk to the community.
I've never heard of
we have a new chairman too.
So I've been doing this for a long time. This is the first time this has ever happened to my application or any other application that I've seen. I have not gotten, you know, over a year of an application pending to a full board meeting to go back and see the community board again. I'd really like them to have a chance to weigh in understanding what this is.
Okay. So Joe and everybody, let me summarize what I think of what the applicant's willing to agree to as steps. And let's just get all this out there so we're on the same page. The closing hours would be Sunday through Wednesday at 1 a.m., Thursday through Saturday at 2 a.m. Background music and jukebox only, no live music, live performances, no DJ, no karaoke, no dancing, including no lap dancing. The proposed establishment will not be named or use any variation on Susie Villa, nor will it hold or support events of the nature of those promoted under the name Susie Villa at prior locations. They'll get an acoustic report and implement it. There'll be no patron access to the basement. And Jesse, the one thing I'm not sure of, Jesse Greenwald, with those hours, would you still want security or not?
We're gonna have it anyway.
Yes.
We're gonna have it anyway.
Okay, so there would be security for, I don't know, whatever the minimum shift is at the end of the night, like 3 hours before closing or whatever you have to hire. Right? Okay, so, and Joe, are you okay with all of that? You and your client?
Yes.
Okay, so.
I think Carrie had also some, excuse me, Frank, Carrie had also listed no host. What was it? What would you say, Carrie?
I'm not
You
sure.
used the euphemism.
Escort
use-
service?
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's a little tricky to point in.
I don't
because
even, again, I've never seen that on a
Yeah,
form, so I don't know what that
it's sort of
means.
illegal,
Yeah.
to say there can't be, I think I would be okay keeping it with that, they're not gonna have events of the nature, that occurred. We can say promoted or occurred at the prior location.
But no dancers and no basement usage for customers.
Yeah, that was on my list, Ted. So I think we have three options, or two options really. We can vote outright denial, period. We can mimic our last letter, which is recommend outright denial. If the SLA disagrees with it, please include all these stipulations. Or we could recommend what we usually do, which is recommend approval with these stipulations. So the difference between option 2 and 3 is 3, we would be virtually guaranteed that the SLA would accept all these stipulations because they were agreed to. If we do option 2, deny with the steps as a backup, there's a possibility that the SLA will disregard some or all of them. And if we just deny, there's a possibility the SLA will see it as a thumbs up, thumbs down thing. And that to me is a complete coin toss. So I'm curious what other people think, because I'm still mulling it over.
I'd like to make a motion. So
Christine?
I'd like to make motion number 2, which is, deny, and then like we did last time, and the backup stipulation with more limited hours. I mean, the hours a little more limited. And that
Limited to 1 and 2. Our last letter said midnight and 1.
right. I think we should say.
I'd go with midnight and 1.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I
And
would
then-
second that motion, Christine.
The applicant can always come back.
Yeah.
And request longer hours once the community trust is established.
Because right now there is
I
no
think that's-
community trust.
That's the. I think we should, see whether we have a consensus on that. I mean, maybe not.
Okay. And just so we're clear, we'd be going in with these as proposed steps, not an agreement with the applicant.
That's right.
Our position would be denial, but we'd have a written record with the SLA that if it were going to be denied, we would still really hope that these limitations were adopted by the SLA.
I second Christine's motion.
With the earlier hours, right?
Yes,
With midnight and
Midnight
1.
and 1.
correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we,
I'm sorry, I just want to make sure that that's okay with the applicant, because I'm not sure we checked that.
Well, no, this doesn't have to be.
Okay, because we are denying.
This is
Oh,
a
I see.
denial.
Okay, yeah.
So they are not, any
Right.
agreement with the applicant is off the table if it's a denial.
That's what you
all this
said,
would be
Carrie.
is saying, we want a denial, but if the SLA disagrees, we'd like all these other things, but we, have no guarantee of getting them at that point because there would be no agreement with the applicant.
You guys don't want to try to get a deal done so that we're not in a situation where they may give us 3 a.m. and let us use the name, or they may just deny it outright. It doesn't make, it seems like we're close, it seemed to me.
No, we're not. The whole community says no.
No, not the whole
So we are
community
not.
says no.
We are not, because you have a whole community which is saying we don't want it.
But it's not a whole community.
And we are representing this community.
I think we have a motion.
Yeah.
Okay, make your motion.
a question about the motion? I just wanted to be clarified. Do we include the acoustical report?
Yes.
Yes. Well, in what we're asking for, as a fallback position, it would be everything I read, which
Yeah.
should include.
Okay, I didn't, maybe it's just getting too late for me. I didn't remember it.
Okay, so.
Before we vote on the vote.
Jesse?
I just want to say I probably will be voting against the motion. I personally think I'd be more comfortable having buy-in from the applicant in the decent chance that the SLA approves some form of liquor license. I would prefer to have some sort of agreement tonight. And just a show of visible support that's on YouTube recorded live, that they are meeting us where we're asking them to meet us. That makes me feel more comfortable, and I want, but on the flip side, that they can see that we are choosing to believe in them and hoping that they will respect us going forward as their business operates. And again, live recorded on YouTube.
Well,
That's where I'm
Jesse,
standing.
I just want to say, I would support this motion because
Frank, you're frozen.
on
You're
trust,
completely frozen.
not words.
You need to start again. You froze up.
Ted?
Here you are.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I just wanted to say to Jesse's point, though, I mean, we asked for the sound report 2 years ago, and here we are, and we still don't have it.
Correct.
So if you want to
Oh,
talk.
wait, Ted, to be fair, we put it in the letter that we wanted a sound report. They might have given it to us if we had reached agreement with them, but we didn't. So they were forging ahead in the face of a denial.
But they knew we wanted it.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think Frank is right. Frank, it's like they were going on based on, waiting for
without
the
us.
SLA, waiting for the SLA to give them their shot. And now they are in front of us because the SLA say, go back. Otherwise.
That's concerning, though, because then they wanted to open up a space with SLA approval without any consideration for the tenants above to do the soundproofing properly. That's
correct.
Wendy, jump in.
I just wanted to add that I agree with Jesse in that my preference is always to come to an agreement because it's where we have the most leverage. And I understand that this is a leap of faith and that is challenging. I wish a lot of things had been done differently, but it is, and I wish we weren't up against this time crunch, but it is what it is. I would much rather, though, know we were agreeing to what are pretty stringent stipulations versus rolling the dice with the SLA. That said.
And sorry, I would like to also say my stipulations continue to be 11 p.m. and midnight on weekends, which is even more restrictive hours than the vote to denial was. And I had heard that the applicant would be open to that, and that would be because then we get one good year of built up trust, and then we could extend that.
Okay, just to go back to Joe, so we know what we're talking about. Joe, and again, I have no indication we're going to reach agreement. If we could reach agreement, would you reach agreement on 11 and 12?
Unfortunately, that's not
sorry,
possible.
12 and 1. Is that what you wanted, Bert? 12 and 1 or 11 and 12?
11, what did you say, Jesse? 11 and 12.
11 and 12.
11 and 12, but it doesn't sound like the applicant. I thought I had heard that you were open to that. I'm sorry if I misremembered.
No, we said we would do the 1 and 2 that the prior applicant had, or the prior licensee had in the space. That we could do.
How about midnight and 1, which is what was our backup last time?
Midnight and 1?
Midnight 1 was what we asked for last time as a backup.
That's what I'd be in favor of.
Yeah, and I would say, like, well, I mean, if they can't agree to this, then I don't actually, maybe I'll just, like, it is perfectly possible to run a business in this small space.
Yeah,
I just want a point of order. We have a vote and we have a motion and a second. Do we need to vote on that?
Eventually, yes.
I believe people, this is discussion, but I think people are also explaining how they're voting, because a no vote on that motion could mean one of two things. It could mean you wanted it to not even include any stipulations, be an outright denial, or it could be you were more in favor of the applicant. So I think people are explaining why they're voting no. Are they, and to continue that, if the applicant were agreed to midnight and 1, I'd be with Jesse and Wendy, because, you know, this is a lot of pressure on this committee because we're not even going to get the full board to opine on this. It's going to happen on Wednesday, you know, based on what we say. And I am just concerned about preserving our flank here and, you know, not being seen as having rejected something, you know, that had a lot of concessions to it. So that's one thing. And, you know, particularly given the nature of this bar and the applicant, I am personally sort of going out on a limb and being trusting here, because I don't, you know, I think there is still a lot of anti-trans discrimination, and I think that is swaying my vote a little here, and I want to give this operator the benefit of the doubt. And
so Jesse, are you going to change your time again?
Yeah, sorry. I was seeing that that's the compromise position between the prior operator and my position. So yes, 12 and 1 would be fine.
I have a question.
But I just wait, sorry, Ted. I don't know, Joseph, did you agree to that?
No, 1 and 2 is that.
They're
That's
not
the
agreeing.
floor.
They're not agreeing.
I'm
That's
sorry.
what I thought.
That's what I said before. We didn't want to do a whole, like, I just gave you our best. That's the best we
got
can do.
it.
okay, and we weren't asking you to negotiate with yourself. We're just telling you where we are.
Okay.
I was just saying earlier in the night, I wasn't saying 1 and 2 so that we could get into a conversation. I was giving you our best because I was thinking.
Oh, and I think what you're hearing is a lot of people wrestling with good faith with what to do here, and you know, you're just hearing what people think here.
Yeah, I hear
have to say,
it.
I don't know. But I do feel like recognizing that you had already made a bunch of concessions, I do think this last one is probably the most significant. Unfortunately, for me, I do think your unwillingness to meet us there changes my vote back to in support of Christine's motion. But that seems to be, I mean, those are already pretty late hours for something that has there's so little trust in the community. And again, I'm with Frank. I want to give you all the benefit of the doubt. I do. And so to not meet us for 1 year, you know, your first year of operation at midnight on weeknights and 1 o'clock on weekends, I feel like that should be doable for you. So you would lose my support if that's where you're at.
It's 10:24.
Yes, we have a motion on the
I'd
floor.
like to do call to question.
Thank you.
And we're still in the format, to be clear, of we're denying. And if you do end up permitting them, these are the stipulations we want.
Right. And the stipulation as to hours would be midnight and 1 a.m.
Right.
Exactly. Okay.
So you are calling it, Bert?
Yes, I am. I took a deep breath. All those in favor of the resolution as is, denying, and then if they do it, these are the stipulations we want.
Guys, I'm sorry. Can you give me like 20 seconds? I'm trying to get them to Jesse.
Okay, all right. Go offline, yeah. And let me explain to everybody here in the community what's going to happen. Whatever letter we end up with has to be submitted to the SLA, I believe, by noon on Wednesday. So I'll take charge of getting that out.
Tomorrow?
I know, sorry, noon on Friday.
Oh.
So that's going to happen. Speaking to the community here, anyone else who wants to make a written submission directly to the SLA on this needs to also do it. Nellie, am I right? By noon on Friday?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and you would just send that directly into the SLA. If you need that information, you can get it from Nellie. The SLA full board hearing, Mike, can you mute?
I don't know.
Okay. The SLA full board hearing is going to begin at 9:30 a.m. on Wednesday, next Wednesday, a week from tomorrow. Nellie again has the information if anyone wants to attend. I am honestly not sure. They will hear from us. I am pretty sure. I'm not sure how many community members they will hear from, but if anyone wants to attend in person, you should get the logistic information from Nellie. And for the committee, as Bert said, I've agreed to go from 9:30 to 1. Jesse Bodine's going to come and spell me at 1 p.m. if it's still going on. But if anyone else wants to come with me, you'd be more than welcome. Just let me know and we can make arrangements to meet. And the hearing is up at the SLA office in Harlem, I think on 125th Street or somewhere around there.
So if I could, they could do the 12 o'clock during the week. If we could maybe have 2 o'clock on the weekends. If that is something that would be agreeable, 12 o'clock during the week, 2 on the weekends, that we can make work. And again, like you said, we're happy to make a deal also. We'd love to come out of this on the same page.
Yeah, I think we may now be where you are in terms of we're done negotiating, but I don't know. Wendy and Jesse.
I didn't say I was done negotiating. I just said I didn't say that specifically as a tax. I just.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I don't want to speak for Jesse and Wendy.
Alternatively, if 12 and 2 don't work, we could theoretically do 1 o'clock across the board.
My concern is the sound report, and actually that it's actually getting done, even if it's like, lower hours. The tenant that was there that lived above said she heard people talking when it was a coffee shop. And getting those late hours, 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock, even weekdays and weekends.
No, that's a different applicant. That's 57th Street.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not this one. This one was a bar.
Always. Okay.
And there was soundproofing.
I think we need
we need to vote.
wrap it up.
We're in the middle of a vote.
We need to vote on the motion.
The motion was called, and so we need to vote.
Yeah.
So I'll start again. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
All those opposed? All those abstaining, present, not eligible. Did we count? I think it passed.
There were 3 opposed.
Right.
So
Okay.
if we can do the math backwards from there.
So that was a vote for a deny.
Deny with the backup steps,
With the backup
Yeah.
plan.
With all the steps as a back.
but not agreed to by the applicant. And what time is our backup? Is it midnight 1?
Yeah.
Yes.
12 and 1.
Okay, so since I voted against the board position, I'm a litigator. I'm used to arguing whatever
You can get
side pays my bills. So in this case, I understand the position I'm advocating, which is the outright denial, and with these steps if necessary. But if anyone who is in the majority would prefer to come and present to the SLA, just let me know, and I'm willing to go, but let you do the talking. So just let me know.
Okay.
Thank you, Frank.
But
Thank
the
you, Frank.
community should really, if you have strong feelings one way or the other on this application, please submit your views directly to the SLA by Friday. And even if you like, come up on next Wednesday.
Good night,
Thank you
everybody.
all.
Thank you, everybody on the committee and everybody. I see we have 44 people out there. Thank you, Joseph, and your team, everybody.
Yes, thank you all. I think the one thing we can agree on is that this was a tough one and generally a tough evening, but climaxing with this. And so thanks for taking all this care with something that began at like 9:30.
And thanks to
Okay.
Suzanne for sticking it out for the whole night. Big fan of Pocket Bar. Thanks, Suzanne.
And Nellie, thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Welcome. Good